604 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane off and running. Brian here with you. John LaBeouf producing, getting you ready for our Thursday show. Getting a break from the rain today before it comes back tomorrow. Starting you off at 61 degrees in downtown Baton Rouge. Oh, where to begin? How about this? We're going to dive into some tax reform bills coming up. We're going to have Jason DeCuir from Advantage Consulting in our next hour. But other than that, it's going to be a relatively light legislative day today. We're all over the map everywhere else. So let's go. Top stories and trending.
Number 5.
Starts us off overnight on the interstates. Over in Denham Springs. One person is dead after a 3-vehicle crash on I-12 eastbound across from Bass Pro Shop. This, according to the Denham Springs Police Department. Officials say the crash happened around 10:15 p.m. One person did die at the scene. All lanes were blocked for a number of hours heading into midnight and into the new morning.
Number 4.
The coroner's office is working to identify a man found dead last month in the backyard of a home on North Harco Drive. The man was found dead back on April 9th. The duplex was 1800 North Harco. He's believed to have been homeless and slept in a disabled vehicle near the place that his body was found. Residents nearby said he may have gone by the name Carlos Rodriguez, but was carrying no identification when he died.
Number 3.
A plan to rethink how Louisiana builds and maintains its roads and bridges is sailing through the legislature after passing the full House this week with nearly unanimous bipartisan approval. The sweeping plan, spread across 3 separate bills, would rework parts of DOTD's organizational structure and set up a new agency called the Office of Louisiana Highway Construction.
Number 2.
President Donald Trump has picked Kurt Wall, an attorney with experience in East Baton Rouge and Livingston parishes, to serve as the area's chief federal prosecutor as the U.S. attorney for the Middle District. Wall was among several dozen nominees announced by the Trump administration 2 days ago to fill a series of long vacant federal positions. He'll still need to be confirmed by the U.S. Senate.
Number 1.
A man accused of leading deputies on a pursuit in a stolen EBR school district bus was arrested Wednesday morning. 33-year-old Samuel Selders Jr. Was arrested in West Baton Rouge Parish after leading the Iberville Parish Sheriff's Office on a pursuit on I-10 eastbound around 6:30 a.m. Deputies used spike strips to stop the bus near the Lobdell exit off of I-10. What's trending there, John?
Well, only black smoke so far as Conclave continues to pick the next pope.
Oh, wait, do we know what the record is for like fastest election of a pope? Has there ever been a first ballot pope?
Huh.
I mean, it's hard enough to get a first ballot Hall of Famer in Major League Baseball. I can't imagine we would ever get a first ballot pope.
Yeah. I could have assumed, but we don't want to do that. That's a good question. I don't know.
All right.
I hate to do this in real time, but maybe next hour I would have a better answer.
No worries. No worries.
But no, yeah, that is a good question. In other news, President Donald Trump withdrew his nomination of former Fox News medical contributor Dr. Jeanette Nesheiwat as U.S. Surgeon General.
So he's replacing her with someone who's got a little more, goes down the holistic medicine path. Someone who's a little more in line with the whole Maha movement and whatnot. So
see how that shakes out, huh? What was I hate that I'm doing this in real time.
No.
The name of his the woman you were just talking about.
Means?
Dr.
Means, yeah.
Yep, that's it. Okay. Yeah, I guess we're gonna see how that shakes out.
Hey, this just in, my wife texted me.
Oh yeah?
She said she heard on the news this morning. John Paul II was chosen in 8 ballots. Pope Francis was chosen in 5. So
Okay.
5 sounds pretty darn quick.
Yeah.
I don't know that you'll get much less than that. The conclave for Innocent V was only 1 day. And Adrian V lasted 9 days. So that was the longest.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, is that consecutive days or is that just every time they gather, every time they meet?
Oh no, once they meet, they meet. They're in it.
Yeah,
They're in it. They lock the doors up, kick everybody else out.
How many times do they do that? That's what I mean. I guess by 8 days. Is it consecutive days?
No, 8 ballots, 8 votes.
8 ballots. Okay, okay.
They're supposed to vote, I believe, twice a day.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Hey, music news here. The 60th Academy of Country Music Awards is tonight. So
I saw
good
that. We got Brittany and Alondra are there.
yeah, yeah.
I know so little about country music right now. It just, you
There's
ever
new
dial
artists-
out on something that it just
Yeah. So many new artists coming out in the country music scene. You know, it's for a while it was the same, I think, 10, 15 artists, and now it's a plethora of artists now. But tonight's show is also going to be it's going to be hosted once again by Reba McEntire.
okay.
And I hear that Keith Urban is going to be awarded the ACM Triple Crown Award, the first time since Carrie Underwood received it in 2010.
The ACM Triple Crown. What does that
Triple
consist
Crown.
of?
That's what I'm wondering. So if anybody knows Facebook or anything, yeah, let us know. Let us know. Triple Crown Award. Yeah. So, yeah.
All right. You said the first time since who?
Carrie Underwood in 2010.
I don't know that that's. And who's getting it?
Keith Urban. Let's see.
It looks like Lainey Wilson got it as well.
She did. Let's see.
Yeah. Wilson qualified for the Triple Crown Award. After, oh, no.
Okay.
Did she qualify or did she win? Oh, here's what it consists of. New Artist of the Year, Artist of the Year, and Entertainer of the Year.
Oh.
So it's been a while since Keith Urban's been a new artist, though.
Right. It's
been a minute.
Yeah.
611 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. That's a look at your top stories and to look at what's trending. And of course, it is brought to you by the Baton Rouge Metro Airport. FlyBTR.com is the website. FlyBTR.com. Man, FlyBTR.com was an incredible resource yesterday morning, was it not? If you had someplace to be, if you had someplace to go, you definitely hopped on the website, checked those departures to see what was what. And yeah, there were delays due to the weather. And overall, once, everybody got everything squared away, things started to settle down a little bit, things picked right back up again. But difference between yesterday and this morning, I mean, we've already had flights leave out of Baton Rouge Metro that have already landed where they're going. The 5 a.m. flight to Houston has already arrived. You get the 5:30 flight to Dallas is in the air, as is the one 6 a.m. to Atlanta is already wheels up as well. Coming up in about should be taking off any second now is the flight to Charlotte. Hey, coming up a little bit over an hour from right now is that daily flight to Washington, D.C. Yeah, round trip daily to Washington, D.C., flying to Reagan National. You leave at 7:15 in the morning. You come back home in the evening. It is unbelievably convenient. If you've got business in our nation's capital, check out flybtr.com. Get a look at the prices on the tickets, not just the prices on the tickets, but the whole process here. Not hauling down to New Orleans to have to deal with that added time and added parking. TSA is a nightmare down there. TSA is a breeze up here. Check it out. They got the daily flight to DC. They got a ton of other flights as well. It's flybtr.com. Good morning, sir.
Hey, I didn't know if I should do this, but the shark alligator rule, right? Did you hear about the woman who got attacked in Florida?
No.
From a canoe. Her and her husband were canoeing, and she was attacked, man. She just died. Yeah.
Replace the ACM with that then.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was 61 years old. She was attacked. Yeah. So I was thinking of adding that as like a fourth, but I'm like, I don't want to.
No, it's fine. Yeah, it is a rule.
How you doing this morning, Haggai? Sorry, I asked you that as you were taking
So far, so good.
Oh,
Yeah.
I mean, nothing shit on me yet, but it's still early.
Yes. All right. So now weather is officially it's uploaded.
okay. You have the cuts that I sent you for softball.
Yep. 2.4 and the final call.
Yep. How good was Garrett yesterday? Good Lord.
Oh, he was awesome.
I would march through the gates of hell for that man. That is it. Just
He was great. I mean, obviously his political career is not over.
there would have to be a lot of undoing of partisanship in order for his political career to pick back up again.
He's a very young man with a lot of capabilities and a lot of people like him. Current governor withstanding. But I mean, his message was so on point. What kind of return on investment are you getting from the people you're electing?
Yes. Only problem is we're actually getting return on investment from Jeff Landry right now. Significant return on investment in so many different facets other than insurance. 616 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Talk 107.3 FM is home for LSU softball, and LSU softball you will get this morning, 10 a.m. Yep, we got a bump moon once again. This morning, 10 a.m. LSU taking on Oklahoma. Patrick Wright will be on the call on the LSU Sports Radio Network. Now, LSU went into the SEC tournament as the 9 seed, which means you're going to play the 8 seed. And should you survive, you move on to play the 1 seed. That's just how it goes. That's the way the bracket lays out. This is where we are. LSU gets past 8 seed Mississippi State yesterday. Relatively uneventful game with the exception of the second inning where the Tigers posted up a 4 spot.
And the 2-2. Ground ball slowly to short. Shortstop bobbles, then picks, throws, not in time. 1 run scores. The second run will come around and score as well, and it's 4-0.
2 runs on an infield grounder. Yeah, 4-0 was where they were at. They were at 1 more in the 4th. Tigers win it 5-0 overall. Here's how it sounded on the back end.
And the 1-2. Fly ball to left, drifting back. Leno in front of the fence. She reaches up, she grabs it, and the ball game is over. As Leno right up against the 8-foot fence has caught it. There may be a review to see if she trapped it against the fence. So there, the umpires are pushing LSU back. They told the band to slow down a little bit, and we will probably get a review on that. I think she caught it.
Mississippi State is challenging this call of a trap against the fist.
Okay. All right.
It would be upheld, and LSU does win 5-0. Taking on the number 1 seed in the SEC tournament, you're playing the best team in the best conference today. Now, should they survive, they'll move on to play again tomorrow at 3 p.m. It is a long road to be sure, and the lower you are seated, the more the further back you get your the more games you have to win to get there. So, LSU and Oklahoma at 10 o'clock this morning. As far as baseball is concerned, they will be home starting tomorrow for a 3-game series versus Kansas, taking on the Arkansas Razorbacks in Alex Box Stadium. Arkansas is an incredibly good team, to be sure. And you've got your normal Friday, Saturday, Sunday rotation. But I think it's worth pointing out that your Friday, Saturday, Sunday rotation is going to be off by a little bit because your Friday game last week was actually played on Saturday due to the rain out. It got pushed back for rain, so LSU played a doubleheader last Saturday, which means Kate Anderson's actually coming off 1 day less rest. LSU, Arkansas in the box tomorrow night, 6:30 p.m. on our sister station, Eagle 98.1. All right, we need to take a quick break here. We will check the Fox Business Report. I'll have traffic for you on the back end. And then could John Bell Edwards be back in politics?
I'm always fascinated when looking at where this show gets downloaded with the podcast.
Yeah.
This is just this week alone. Moldova. Do you know where Moldova is?
I do. Eastern Bloc.
Right next to Romania.
Yes. You remember saxophone guy? What was his name? Hang on.
Kenny.
No, guy went friggin' viral. There he is. Sunstroke Project. Sergei Stepanov. Epic Sax Guy was what he was called.
Okay. I don't remember that one.
Oh, dude, he took the world by storm. So much so that oh shoot. What's the name of Christy? By the way, good morning, sweetheart. What's the name of the British comedian we watched that traveled around the world with his dad? Whitehall, Jack something. Oh wait, I gotta do traffic. We've got our normal volume on I-12 westbound by Range Avenue. If you're hopping up on the interstate by Denham Springs, it is kind of thick right now. It does clear up well before the Amite River and looks good all the way through the 10-12 merge. I-10 coming in from Ascension Parish looks great. I-10 eastbound coming in from West Baton Rouge looks great. Both bridges are wide open, as is 110. Stepping off the interstates, we've got one accident on on the surface streets. It's up in around Central. East Baton Rouge Parish Sheriff's Office is working it right now, and it happened almost an hour ago, so it might be in the clearing stages by now, but it was Gurney at Jor. Other than that, we got a clean board. That's your look at traffic from the Shopville Star Traffic Center. Jack Whitehall. 624 at Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Could John Bell Edwards be re-entering the political game? We will get into that in just a quick second. I do, however, first need to remind you about the folks over at Mathern's. One of my favorite things about the Mathern's Rewards app, aside from earning cash towards more groceries every time I shop, is that every Wednesday I'll get an email letting me know what the new deals of the week are. So, I mean, before I even look for it, it's there. In fact, yesterday morning, 6:04 a.m., that's when the email came across. And, well, I'm desperately trying to lose weight, so I'm not going to take advantage of this week's deal of the week, which is Duncan Hines cake mix for 99 cents. I'm going to skip that one. But my point is, I know that it's there. I know what's on special. I know what coupons are available. I know what deals are available. I know what I'm saving. I know how much I'm saving. And I know when. And like I said, I'm earning cash towards more groceries. And here's the thing. It's not just good. I normally go to the LSU location. And when you sign up for the app, you put in your main location. But the app's good at all three. Downtown on 3rd, Nicholson Drive, Nicholson Gateway Shopping Center across from street from Tiger Stadium, or the OG Kenilworth Supermarket has returned as Mathern's Market at Kenilworth. Yeah, they're back on Highland, just west of Kenilworth. That is where you will find those 3 locations of Mathern's. Could John Bell Edwards be re-entering the political scene? A number of, I think it was in the New York Times the other day, a number of national Democrats are encouraging the former governor to run for Senate in 2026 against Bill Cassidy. Yeah, it was in the New York Times. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer has spoken with Edwards about the race, but Edwards has not confirmed his interest. Now, our news partners over at Louisiana Radio Network spoke with political analyst Bernie Pinsonet, who says Edwards could say he's ready to get out of private practice and back into politics. Did I not send you? Did I send you 3 cuts? Okay, that's on me. Give me one quick second here, and I will make sure you have those. And sure enough, they're in my outbox right now. Dadgummit. That's on me, John. My apologies. So now we're going to need just a second to get, so John can get these loaded into the system. So while we do that, I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I give him a little bit of time. God, dang it. I'm so sorry about this, y'all. While we have a moment for John to load things into Adobe, want to remind you that the Spring Cha-Ching is still going on over at talk1073.com. The Talk 1073 Spring Cha-Ching, powered by Citizens Bank and Trust. It's back. You can register today at talk1073.com for your chance to win $5,000 cash. It is Spring Cha-Ching from Citizens Bank and Trust and Talk 1073 FM. Oh, also, we got our Mommel Ganger winner. That contest is now over. Our Mommel Ganger winner is in, and I got the email on that yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. Who won that bad boy? Dadgummit. Here we go. We got a lot going on. I mean, we had a lot of promotions going on. Landry Whitney and her mom, Dawn of Paulina, won our 2025 Mommel Ganger contest. That wins $1,500 from Selassie Jewelry and Fine Gifts. So thanks to everyone who entered. And of course, happy Mother's Day as well. All right, we good to go? All right. What does Bernie Pinsonet have to say about JBE diving back in?
You never say never. It's certainly something that he can tell voters that I've decided to get back into politics, and nobody's going to be mad at him for doing that.
No, I don't think so. And it's not like governor was the first job he had in politics. In fact, he would be more of a politician than say, oh, I don't know. Yesterday, Garrett Graves spoke at the Rotary Club. Garrett Graves spent 10 years in Congress, and everybody's wondering when he's going to get back in the game. He doesn't know yet. He doesn't know if he'll get back yet. But when you look at the two side by side, former Congressman Graves ran for one office and one office only. Now, he served in a more of a staff capacity up until then. He worked for Billy Tozan, he worked for CPRA, and then he ran for Congress, but he never run for any other office before. John Bell Edwards was a state senator before he was a governor. And one of the things that Edwards can look at is that we're moving to closed primaries. So on the Democrat side, he's basically, I won't say basically, he's almost assured that he's going to sail through the primary process because of the closed primaries. He would dominate the Democratic primary, but that would mean when it comes time for the general election, things would tighten up real quick. Pinsonet says the big question will be how the closed primary affects Cassidy on the other side.
If you look at the changes that the legislature made by the primary system instead of the general election where you had everybody running both parties, we just don't know how this is going to affect, especially the Republicans.
So a number of Republicans, Trump loyalists specifically, believe that Cassidy's quite vulnerable. His bank account says otherwise, and depending on which polls you listen to, the polling says otherwise. But and by the way, we've covered this numerous times about the senator and the president. I mean, as it stands right now, with last time Senator Cassidy was on, I asked him straight up about the impeachment. And he said, no, we're grown-ups. We've moved on. We're just here to, govern the nation. And then the president went out and gave him a shout out in an economic development press conference after that. So is it water under the bridge? Well, if it is, then it goes back to dollars. And that's where Cassidy has a serious lead over John Fleming.
I don't think any Republican out there thinks that this is a locked sense because Trump is president. Our election system and our infighting among Republicans can easily elect another Democrat.
I don't know about that. I mean, I don't want it to be fait accompli, but man, I really, in Louisiana for this race, I don't know. Hey, we'll pick this up at another time. Here's news.
Trump forgets nothing. Trump forgets nothing.
Yeah, but what's important to him?
Trump.
Exactly. And okay, let me re-ask the question. From Cassidy's seat, what's more important to Trump? Replacing Cassidy or having someone who's going to owe you for the rest of his life?
Depends on the mood that Trump's in. That moment. Because it's going to change.
That's the media talking. Trump's a lot more calculating than that. He's a lot more calculating than that.
You give me more credit than I do.
Yeah. All right, here you go. So you get this guy with the fiddle that's all light up and spinning around. That's the guy.
Is he actually even doing anything?
I think the video is bad. I've seen it better.
His fingers weren't moving on the saxophone. He was just kind of dancing with them. Milli Vanilli on him.
So then from there, it went to people singling out just him. Seriously, Haggai, his top hand doesn't move at all.
That's what I'm saying. He's not playing that. He's just
Was his bottom hand moving?
no. He's Milli Vanilli. somebody off stage blowing that horn for him.
I think somebody off stage just pushing play.
So we have now been downloaded in 120 countries.
Oh yeah, that was the whole genesis of that conversation. Do I know where Moldova is?
Oh, by the way.
Yeah, that's how we got on the Epic Sax guy. All right, so how many of those are legit, and how many of those are just where like things get redirected to?
Don't have that answer.
Yeah.
All I got is the stats that come off of Podbean as to where it was downloaded from.
Oh, we're gonna start with Google's monopoly on ad business and whatnot. A legend.
And the ramifications of what would happen.
Is it Emma Kate? Time to get a look at your forecast. Here's WBRC meteorologist Emma Kate Cowan. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I guess I would rather be right. .638 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along, and it is time to dive into the technology world. It is time for a cup of tech gumbo. We have to make sure that we reserve some room on the back end of the segment to talk about why Mark Zuckerberg is absolutely crazy. But before that, we're going to talk Google. Haggai, how are you?
Brian, I'm so excited. The show that airs this weekend is the 350th Tech Gumbo episode.
350. It's a lot of Tech Gumbo.
For a show that airs just once a week.
I know.
That's a lot of Tech Gumbo.
I know. That's a huge number.
It's a cool thing that I 11 and a half years of doing this, and it's still just as fun as it was, bright-eyed and idiot, when I was starting this whole thing. And it's a great time. I enjoy doing this so much, and thank you for the opportunity for giving me, to come on here once.
Always. The more we can do to promote it, the better. Because I mean, the only way to get to 350 is to get past 300, get past 250.
Absolutely. And while we're talking about the show, I was running the stats a little while ago. We have now been downloaded in 120 countries around the world.
Okay.
the podcast because we released.
Let's talk about this for a
Yeah.
second because I want to hit you with something that might be a little bit
Yeah.
weird. But you were pointing out a couple of countries this morning that have just been added to the list.
Yes, Moldova.
Moldova, home of epic sax guy, Moldova.
Yeah, I mean it's 120 countries that just what is somebody in Guyana wanting to do listening to me?
What? How do you get to your show from Moldova? Because I assure you that nobody in Moldova is putting gumbo in the search bar.
The guy in Uzbekistan is just curious about technology, so he's got
curious about gumbo.
Are curious about gumbo, but he's doing a search with his iPhone or his Android or his Spotify, whatever, and just, hey, what's out there for technology? I guess that's the only reasonable explanation I can come up with. But 120 countries has heard my voice.
That's awesome.
Just amazes me that
it's very, very cool stuff. Now,
yes.
To go along with that, though, part of being found in Guyana or Moldova or Uzbekistan or wherever is search engine optimization.
Yes.
Now, part of that is domain authority. Part of that is longevity. 350 episodes is strong for the longevity. Now, if you wanted to bypass all that, you can go from SEO to SEM, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is where Google makes most of their money.
Advertising.
Well, not just advertising. We're not talking about those right rail ads. We're not talking about pre-roll ads. We're talking about when you search something up, Google takes their advertisers and pushes them to the top of the page.
Right.
That's more than 50% of their revenue, and it's in jeopardy.
Yes, it is. The Department of Justice, now that the federal courts has decided that Google is the monopoly for advertising, the DOJ is wanting to break up Google. They want them to sell off Google Chrome and sell off DoubleClick. Now, for those of you who've never heard of DoubleClick or don't know what that is, DoubleClick is the software that lives on the back of your computer, and it tracks everything you do. Everything you click on, every website you go to, every search you make, it keeps that record. That's where Google is building all of those profiles about everything that you do, so it knows more about you than you do. And Google is theoretically, the DOJ, the Department of Justice, is wanting to force Google to sell this off. Now, selling off DoubleClick would only account for about 10 to 15% of Google's total revenue, or about $30 billion a year. And
wait, selling off what would do that?
DoubleClick
would account for about $30 billion a year.
Yes.
And you said that was what percentage of their revenue?
10.
No. Huh?
Yes. And
okay.
It's the when you're looking at that graph,
the pie chart. I'm looking at the pie chart.
Right. So the advertising, the Google ad network.
Okay.
That's where
okay.
DoubleClick lives in there.
Gotcha. Which is okay. That's 9.2% is within there.
Right.
So I thought DoubleClick was feeding the overall search advertising.
No, the search advertising is what they're doing when they're pushing ads to everything that comes in from Google.
Gotcha.
When you do any kind of a Google search, that's where 60% of the revenue comes from.
Important clarification. Yes.
And so, but when you go to somebody else's website and they push the advertising from DoubleClick out to somebody else's website, that's the other 10% that Google would have to give up.
Wow. Okay. And is it real? Okay. I don't even know if that advertising is really worth that.
$30 billion. Yeah.
Versus the search advertising.
Well, and so
I'm saying if DOJ is pushing something on you and you've got to get rid of something and they say, get rid of that 9.2%, I'm getting rid of that 9.2% because the 57.3% is so much more important to me. And the other 10% you get from YouTube is so much more important to me.
But remember, they don't own DoubleClick anymore, so now they have to buy all of that information. So their costs go up now because right now they own DoubleClick and they own all the information they're gathering. If they have to sell off DoubleClick to Haggai Davis Services, Google's got to come to Haggai and pay Haggai for all of those results from DoubleClick.
Why?
Because they don't own it anymore.
I know, but why do they need the data anymore as well?
Because if you're going to push targeted advertising, you've got to get the information who needs that targeted advertising. If they're going to send Haggai specific information when he's doing anything on his computer, whether it's on Google's website or any other website, if they don't know what Haggai's profile is all about, then they have to come to me, Haggai Davis Services, to buy that information because I now own DoubleClick. Boy, that would be great if I did.
Yes.
I'd enjoy. I think I might enjoy the $30 billion, but realistically, and this is a long, long ways away from happening. This is not happening tomorrow. This will be tied up for years in the court system, obviously. Right. But just the fact that the DOJ is because they've quite emboldened by the win in the federal court to come out and say, we're going to break up Google and force them to sell off a DoubleClick or sell off Chrome. That's huge.
What would be more beneficial to Google? What would be the least amount of damage to Google? Selling Chrome or selling DoubleClick?
Selling DoubleClick.
Yeah. That's where I'm at.
They want to keep Chrome, obviously, because that when you control that browser environment and you have Chromium, because all of the other websites are using Google's Chrome to build their browsers now.
Mm-hmm.
Getting rid of Google Chrome would be really difficult for them.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to pick back up on this topic because there's a few more items that go within this that I'm super curious about. And if you own a business and you're an advertiser, you're probably super curious about too. We'll pick back up on that. Also, Mark Zuckerberg has lost his ever-loving mind, and
is creepy.
Yeah, very, very creepy. We'll continue next.
It's
but
lost
if
in
you own
numbers.
Chrome, how do you not own the data that's entered into Chrome? That's the part that I'm getting stuck on.
Because Chrome is just the browser,
right? Which is where I'll type in a search,
right? And if you type in a search into Google search while you're on your Chrome browser, okay, you're on the Google search engine.
Yes,
you're not retaining all of that.
Why not?
Because you don't have the software that lives on the computer anymore. That DoubleClick software is what grabs all of the clicks that you go through. That's what's retaining if you're on Chrome and you type in ESPN.com and you open up another tab and you go to FoxSports.com. Okay, Google's going to know you did that. But when you scroll down and you're on somebody else's website and you click on a link inside that website, DoubleClick is picking that up, not Chrome.
Right. I'm saying that Google doesn't even need that part. Once you're on Chrome, once you put whatever's entered into a search in Chrome, if Google can retain that, they're retaining the most.
No. Google Chrome's not reporting back
to Google. Google's not reporting to Google.
No, because Google, the Chrome website lives on your computer. It's not feeding live. Chrome is not feeding live information back to Google. DoubleClick is doing that.
Okay, this is where I think Google was going to have a very serious argument to say, you asked me, I get to keep the information you asked me with Chrome and be able to rebuild whatever. If they sell off DoubleClick, be able to rebuild the exact same thing as DoubleClick, because that would be like, okay, if I were to walk into Mervin's, okay, and I were to ask them, do y'all have lawnmowers? That would be like saying the person who works in Mervin's is not allowed to remember that I asked for a lawnmower.
I understand your train of thought. I'm just telling you how it works.
No, yes, because they built it out that way.
Right.
They bought
DoubleClick.
Right.
And
incorporated it. Same difference.
Yes.
It's, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
If DoubleClick wasn't available for sale, they would have built it themselves.
Well, at some point, yes.
Yes. So sell DoubleClick and rebuild it yourself.
And then you get right back in the same hot water with the DOJ because you're once again a monopoly. You're not allowing other businesses to compete because you're just so big. You're squashing everybody.
Yes. So at the genesis of this, or at the heart of this, the center of this, what am I looking for? The core. At the core of this is Google's going to be a monopoly no matter what.
And I mean, they're 90% of the browser market,
Yes.
and more than that of advertising on the internet.
Yes.
And so, if Brian and Haggai are going to start a business for digital advertising, Google's going to crush us. We're not even going to register because we can't even break into the market because Google has squashed us out. They're so big.
By the way, and this is where I want to go when we come back. How effective are ads that are fed to you via the information given from DoubleClick? Because I most of what's fed to me is reactive and not proactive. And I don't know that we've gotten any kind of AI advancement that takes it from, if I'm buying, and we've had the tennis shoe conversation before. If I search up tennis shoes and then I go buy tennis shoes, the ads that are going to follow me for the next month are tennis shoes. I've already got my tennis shoes.
Unless you mark it irrelevant or that you've already purchased, then it'll stop.
I just move on. I ignore them. I get blind to them. And that level of ineffectiveness, I think, makes the ads worth less. Because if I'm Nike and you told me that 90% of my advertising is being shown to people who have already made their purchase, that's not worth it to me. But if I have search, that's the fresh one right there. That's why I think that the search into this is infinitely more important. By the way, so this is 7.4 billion. Where is this? What's missing here? Because this is YouTube's 10% at 8.1 billion. Right. So 30 billion would be more than 10%.
There's other.
Yeah, you had the other one down there, but it didn't have. Oh shoot! Give me a second. I gotta open it back up again. 652 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Cup of Tech Gumbo rolling right along as part of Mornings with Brian Haldane. We'll get you to ABC News here in about 7.5 minutes. Hi guys, we were going to break. By the way, if you're not watching us on Facebook Live, you're missing a big chunk of the conversation because what we were talking about during break was amazing. The Facebook Live feed brought to you by the folks at Lake Urgent Care. Okay, one of the things we were talking about going into break was the value of the DoubleClick.
Yes.
Yes, there's data there. But if I'm an advertiser, that data is reactive, not proactive. Search is proactive. And I always use the tennis shoe example. If I want to buy a new pair of tennis shoes, I want to find the tennis shoes that are the right mix between weightlifting and running. Okay. So I search that up and I find my just right pair of tennis shoes and I go out and buy those tennis shoes. The search brought me to the shoes that I want. The DoubleClick grabs the data and refeeds it back to me. So if I'm Nike or if I'm Reebok or whomever, my advertising dollars are being spent on someone who has already made their purchase.
You're assuming you only want one pair of shoes.
I only have one pair of feet.
But how many sets of shoes does your wife have? My wife.
We don't talk about these things
because I know how many pairs of shoes. What the whole wall that is covered with shoes from my wife.
Let me go ahead and be very, very clear, very, very fair. My wife is unbelievably reasonable in her shoes. Unbelievably
as
reasonable.
Is my wife.
I'm a very lucky man. She does not spend willy nilly. It's not like an episode of Sex and the City.
No. I'm not saying my wife. She's not a Mel DeMarcos. No. But
wow. All right, John. You know how I have dated references?
Yeah, that one went over.
Give
my
Haggai
head.
an award.
Yeah,
that was awesome.
Hey, all right.
Yeah.
A little pop culture reference there. There you go. I give one once in a while. I find one for you.
That's a good one. I do pop culture
or whatever.
Yeah.
All right. So yes, the Google search in the DoubleClick advertising is wildly profitable. Obviously, they're a $3 trillion total company. Just Google, not Alphabet. The whole big everything.
Right.
Google itself is a $3 trillion company.
So shouldn't their emphasis right now be like if they need to triage or whatever to protect against the DOJ, protect the search at all costs.
Yes, because search is king. Because now that these large language models are getting into the advertising portion of it, Google Gemini, ChatGPT, Copilot, Claude, all of them, they're
Claude?
from Anthropic.
I don't know this one.
Oh yeah, there's it's one of the better ones out there. There's 4 or
Claude
5.
is in the name, or Claude is
Claude
in
is
like
Claude is
CLAWED?
CLAUDE.
Okay.
Claude is a large language model from Anthropic, but they're and you know, Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella in the past year said, "Man, if I'd have known search was this profitable, we'd have been doing it a long time ago."
Yeah.
And that's Microsoft saying this.
Heck, go ask the folks at Borders Books about it.
And so when you have these now LLMs or this artificial intelligence wanting to, instead of just Googling something, I don't Google anymore. I use Gemini for my search,
Mm-hmm.
or OpenAI for my search.
Okay.
I get better results that I like the way they come instead of just getting 100 links. Well, guess what? Google is still building that profile on me, because DoubleClick sitting in the background on my computer watching me go to all these different places.
So that's a very good point. It's a very good point. In that, if you're Google and you protect Google search, you're only protecting Google search. My argument is that within Google search, you have a large enough sample size to be representative. You don't need. There's some data is extraneous.
And look, and I'm a little bit different in the way I use, because I use Microsoft's Edge browser. I use Firefox. I bounce around through all 3 different browsers just because for the different profile.
Mm-hmm.
And so DoubleClick knows whichever browser I'm in.
All right. I promise we have to save a couple minutes. Yeah. Because I could keep going on this conversation for another hour or two.
Absolutely.
All right. The headline reads, Zuckerberg's grand vision. Most of your friends will be AI. In Mark Zuckerberg's vision for a new digital future, artificial intelligence friends outnumber human companions and chatbot experiences, supplant therapists, ad agencies, and coders. AI will play a central role in the human experience, the Facebook co-founder and CEO of Meta Platforms has said in a series of recent podcasts, interviews, and public appearances. Hey, that is unbelievably creepy. It's unbelievably dystopian. And I think he's right.
So he goes on in the article to say most people have 3 friends, but they have the capacity for 15. Where he got that number? Who only has 3 friends? And unless you're... So social media has done an amazing job of alienating people, isolating, pulling back into the side of the 4 walls. People don't go out as much. They don't go to parties as much. They don't go to social events as much. That's just a fact. But to say you've only got 3 friends, but you need 15, so AI is going to fill up the other 12 slots.
Think about it in these terms. Okay. How much are we whittling down the number of people we want to hear from based off of how often they agree with us?
Oh, the echo chamber. Absolutely.
Yes. That's where I think he's right. And that's where I think, and I think people will not understand that those 12 other fake friends are AI.
Now, the one hopeful part to come out of this conversation is that Zuckerberg has been wrong on a lot of things.
Yes, he is.
Like the whole metaverse. The world's going to come to the Facebook metaverse, and they changed the name of the company to Meta because of the metaverse, and was wildly wrong on that.
Correct.
So one can only hope his creepy version of the future is wrong, and that as humans we still want to deal and interact with actual humans.
The metaverse was egomaniacal. This feels a lot less self-centered.
No, this feels business driven. Like this is what his business is all about, is isolating people to sit in front of a computer screen or on your phone. And that's where your friends live is on that screen, not sitting across the table having dinner or going to a party or just hanging out at a social event somewhere.
But this gets back to the genesis of Facebook. Facebook was created to put people together who had common interests. If you could put people together with AI that has common interests,
sure,
you've gone right back to the heart of what grew Facebook. Oh, we gotta get Stick around during news if you don't mind.
Sure.
He's Haggai Davis. You get a full serving of Tech Gumbo weekends here on Talk 107.3 or in Moldova.
Yeah.
All right. That's what built Facebook. Common interests.
Yeah.
And this is where I think AI would play a role for the pajama people, the people that don't leave the house, the people that don't interact with others, the people that just want others to agree with them politically and not bother them at all. Yes, it feeds his business. At the same time, though, it doesn't, because AI doesn't buy shit. And Facebook sells shit. So
AI doesn't click on all of his links.
Right. And that's what feeds the beast. So there's a side of this that is detrimental to his business as well. But what you're doing is you're locking down those who are already in by keeping them in more, by feeding their dopamine receptors.
Yeah.
I don't know. I find this topic was, and I stayed up way too late on this one.
It's easy to do. I mean, we spend a lot of time talking about that one subject because just the creep factor alone is bothersome. That, I mean, as a society, we need to not have this happen.
Right. And the problem is, and when you go through this, the problem is if AI can only feed you what exists.
Right.
We're going to lose exploration. We are going to lose discovery. We are going to lose what's new. What you end up getting, I apologize in advance for this to people in radio. You get WFMF. You get top 40 radio with this. Nothing new, only what's proven. And how do you get proven when you're new? So I don't like this is going to degenerate us down to, this is where Idiocracy starts, and Wall-E. This is where Idiocracy and Wall-E are going to cross-reference.
Yeah. Dystopia is the better way to put it.
Yeah, that's what I led with.
I know. And so we will, hopefully pull back from this in some kind of way. Maybe this younger generation, or the next generation after the current ones who just live in TikTok, maybe they'll find something else to do other than this, because that generation is gone.
What generation?
The 10 to 25-year-olds.
Completely disagree.
You have kids. You have more in that age group than I do. I mean, my kids are out of that.
My 17-year-old would rather be, well, she doesn't mind being a homebody. She doesn't, run around all the parties, but at the same time, though, she has a core group of friends. She'd rather be with her friends. My 12-year-old spends more time interacting with her friends on the phone. Now, the phone is still very new to her. Right. So she's still in that exploration phase. But the majority of time that she spends are on like FaceTime, like chats with 3-4 other girls, which is what you would expect of a teenage girl.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
Like she'll walk into the kitchen holding her phone, and then I'll like hear, "Hi, Coach Brian."
Coach, go back to the 70s, and I mean, sitting there, my parents had to get a second phone line in the house for me so I could sit there and talk to my friends on the phone at night.
Right.
Because my dad couldn't make phone calls to himself. So here, God, go get another.
We just had the really, really long cord in the kitchen.
Oh no!
Where I'd have to stretch in the dining room.
I had a whole second phone. We had a second phone line at the house so that I wouldn't tie up the house phone all night.
Oh no! I never got a second line. No, you're living that sweet life over there, man.
Well, Dad was running the businesses out of the house.
See,
so.
that's different.
Yeah.
Now I did eventually get a phone in my room, I got one in my room. My sister had one in her room, but we still only had the one line. So, and I had like the $5 Walgreens phone, and she had a Garfield phone.
Oh,
so I was always like, I want, what I wanted? You know what I wanted? Mid 80s? No. Close. You're very, very close. I wanted the Sports Illustrated football phone.
Oh, yes.
I wanted that so bad.
Oh, yes.
Oh, I wanted that so bad.
God, yes.
What the hell was I about to Google? I was about to Google something. And now I don't remember what it was. Shit. No.
Galen on Facebook's talking about monopolies don't like to be broken up. That's right. But when they
why
are
would
broken,
they want to be broken up? That's why our political scenario, our political situation is where it is. You have essentially, I mean, they're two monopolies, a duopoly,
But when you break them up, you allow competition.
right?
And if you don't
And
break
if
up
you
the
allow
bells,
competition, you have to allow for somebody who disagrees with you from time to time
absolutely.
on a mental level. If you allow for competition in the real world, as far as commercial competition, someone else is going to make some money and you're going to make a little bit less.
Yep.
It's ridiculous. Anyway, appreciate you.
You bet.
As always. 705 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Hour 2 coming your way right now. Brian here with you. John LaBeouf producing. Man, if you stuck around during the break, as Haggai did, the Cup of Tech Gumbo. Somehow the Cup of Tech Gumbo conversation ended up on the Sports Illustrated football phone. I don't know how we got there, but we did. I mean, we're this close to talking about the party line from the 80s. I don't know. Anyway, I always appreciate, or the 90s, I guess the party line spilled into. Appreciate you, Haggai. Later on, bro. All right, we got a busy second hour coming your way. We got Jason DeCuir with Advances Consulting coming up in our next segment. We got Don Capola with Crimestoppers coming up before the hour is over with. Right now, though, we'll start off your second hour, not just at 62 degrees in downtown Baton Rouge, but we will start off your second hour with top stories and trending.
Number 5.
Number 5 starts us off with an accident last night. A 3-vehicle crash on I-12 eastbound was right across from Bass Pro Shop in Denham Springs. One person did die in this accident. Denham Springs Police Department responded to it. The accident happened around 10:15. The interstate remained closed until well after midnight.
Number 4.
Coroner's office is working to identify a man found dead last month in the backyard of a home off North Harco, 1800 block of North Harco to be exact. The man is believed to have been homeless and slept in a disabled vehicle near the place where his body was found. He was carrying no identification with him when he died.
Number 3.
A plan to rethink how Louisiana builds and maintains its roads and bridges is sailing through the legislature after it passed the House this week with nearly unanimous bipartisan support. Now, it's not just one bill. There's 3 bills combined together. They would rebuild the Department of Transportation and Development's organizational structure into a new agency called the Office of Louisiana Highway Construction.
Number 2.
President Donald Trump has picked Kurt Wall, an attorney with experience in East Baton Rouge and Livingston parishes, to serve as the area's chief federal prosecutor as the U.S. attorney for the Middle District. 59-year-old Wall was among several dozen nominees announced by the Trump administration on Tuesday to fill a series of long vacant federal positions. He will still need to be confirmed by the U.S. Senate.
Number 1.
A man accused of leading deputies on a pursuit in a stolen East Baton Rouge Parish School District bus was arrested Wednesday morning. 33-year-old Samuel Sellers was arrested in West Baton Rouge Parish after leading the Iberville Parish Sheriff's Office on a pursuit on I-10 eastbound around 6:30 a.m. yesterday. Deputies used spike strips to stop the bus near the Lobdell exit of I-10. John, you ever think about using a bus as a getaway vehicle?
Well, there was this one time.
Yeah, right?
Oh, man.
Guys, I'm going to steal a bus.
You know what? If you think about this,
What?
you watched The Dark Knight, right?
Yeah.
Great movie.
Yeah.
I think twice in that movie, the Joker's gotten away in a bus. The beginning of the movie?
Yeah. Well, that time,
I know,
you
I
were like a school, you had a whole series of school buses running right there.
That
Yeah.
was so good.
And then after the hospital explosion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, oh, you know what? I've never thought of it, but Heath Ledger did.
Yeah. That's fair. I will give credit for that. Okay.
Yeah. Hey, the only black smoke so far as Conclave continues to pick the next pope coming out of
Yeah, they coming out of the Sistine Chapel, they've so
sorry, I got hung up.
I was asking we were asking in the last hour what the quickest one was. Were you able to find the quickest one? Because Christy texted me. My wife texted, said Francis was voted in 5 ballots, which feels remarkably quick. Now I know they're required to vote twice a day. Byron said in the chat that they can vote up to 4 times a day. I don't know why. I just to be a fly on the wall for that whole conversation.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
133 Cardinals. You need more than 80 votes to get to the 2/3
thinking that,
majority.
like-
It's not going to be easy. And then like you see how things play out where, folks move up and down the popularity. Part of the whole process is that black smoke, what's being burned are all the ballots. So we have no way of gauging like who's popular to begin with. Like there's no running tab. There's no big board on CNN or Fox News where, okay, we have results coming in from Florida, and the president is looking at re-election by this president. There's none of that with 18% of precincts reporting. There's none of that going on.
Right.
They all vote and then they burn the vote.
Man,
I know.
it's gonna be
I
a
know.
while.
I want in.
It'll be a while. Yeah,
I want to find out.
that's it. Soon enough. In other news, President Donald Trump withdrew his nomination of former Fox News medical contributor Dr. Jeanette Neshawat as U.S. Surgeon General.
Replaced with Dr. Means, who's more holistic.
Yeah.
They were very vague
you know.
on what holistic means
Yeah.
there. I know it's of the whole, but like, are we talking about
Of the whole, but how listic is it?
listic? Listic sounds like an aspiring rapper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Coming right out of Baton Rouge.
And they compare it with whole.
That's it. It's whole and listic.
All right, Quint Davis, we got next year's Jazz Fest solved.
There you go. Hey, Brian, going off the Florida, the gator and shark rule, shark and gator rule.
Alligator shark rule.
Alligator shark rule here. Coming out of Florida, tragedy struck. A Florida woman thrown from a canoe by thrashing gator falls into the water where she was attacked and killed
No, by a gator or a shark?
by the gator.
By an alligator?
Alligator, yeah,
In Florida.
in Florida. They're saying, although this is rare, it does happen. Apparently, the gator was 11 foot 4 inches, and it was her and her husband.
Wow, that's a big
Yeah,
one.
it's massive.
I think
And-
them the big ones right there.
Oof, yeah, coming out of Florida today. I saw it also on a couple news sites, but yeah, it's just
It's rare. They say it's rare, but is it really?
right. That's what I think. I
My-
mean, if you fall in,
Okay, my level of curiosity my level of questioning wasn't based off of an alligator attack. It's based off the time of year.
yeah.
It's going to be that time.
Oh, for
It's
sure.
going to be that time where you'll see a few more like this.
Yep.
Normally it's like, because to attack a canoe,
right.
that's big. That is
Yeah.
big. But
Okay.
like normally it's like, a woman was walking her dog too close to a lake,
Yes.
and the dog gets eaten.
So get this. Officials said that the husband and wife were in a 14-foot canoe in around 2 foot of water when they passed over an alligator. So they passed over in 2 foot of water. I mean, that's way too
All
shallow.
right, I don't want
to
to victim blame here, but
Right.
did you not see it? 2 foot
That's
of
what I'm
water isn't
saying.
a whole lot to
an
be
11
disguised.
foot.
Yeah, right.
I mean,
Remember, when you're talking about an 11-foot alligator, you got to talk girth as well.
yes.
That bad boy's gonna be big around.
Oh yeah.
It's be like the Charles Barkley of alligators.
Yeah, apparently she landed on top of the gator in the water and was bitten. Her husband tried to help, but was unsuccessful, unfortunately.
Okay, so this happened in Kissimmee, south of Orlando. The couple was from Davenport. Then they did recover the woman from the water. She was declared dead. The story that I read didn't say if the husband was injured or not.
Yeah, I'm not
but
seeing anything about the husband either.
a sheriff's office radio transmission of the incident was obtained by CBS affiliate WKMG. Quote, gator grabbed her out of the canoe. A sheriff's deputy can be heard saying. Now, to be fair, I don't really like to quote things that come across 911 because they're wildly inaccurate based off of like, it's the first report. It's the adrenaline pumping and you get half of a glimpse of what actually happened. So did the gator hit the canoe and she fell in the water and then all that is just
Passing
to say
that close.
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, 2 feet of water.
yep.
All right. Well, shark
Yeah.
alligator rule. That's why we have it.
Yep.
We keep everybody up to speed. We have no shortage of them here in Louisiana. We are at 714 at Talk 107.3 FM. We are running long. Let's take a quick break. Come back. We got Jason DeCuir from Advantage Consulting next.
Oh, okay, now I'm here. Okay, yeah, we're gonna have you up here in just about 2 minutes or so. Thank you, sir.
That committee was made to stop these 16 pieces of legislation. In my opinion, only I got to write to this Jude committee in the Senate that's going to hear a lot of these bills. It was set up to absolutely shut down any reform. It goes down to two people. It doesn't even go down to the governor. The governor's on record. I'm signing the bill. It goes down to Cameron Henry, Greg Miller. You want to pass something? Go look their numbers up and call them.
Catch Will Griffon weekdays from 9 to 11 a.m. on Talk 107.3 FM. Now a Talk 107.3 traffic update from the Shawbills Tire and
7
Service
texts.
Traffic Center. Shawbills
7 texts. One about AI, the other 6 about alligators. I swear to God, like, I don't know, when I first thought of the idea, I was like, this is stupid, Ryan, to run down a rabbit hole that all you care about. I get response from people. It just, thank you for pivoting on that. Thank you for finding the story.
Yeah.
That's why I set that up to begin with. Every time you find it, run with it. Hell yes.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. Shoot.
717 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. So we'll move from the shark alligator rule in the legislative session. Although the legislative session and alligators don't really cross paths that often. No, hang on. A couple of years ago, State Representative Stephanie Hilferty had a bill to make it illegal to feed alligators your leftovers from Deanie's. Probably other restaurants too, but she's based out of Bucktown, so we'll just throw Deanie's in there. Joining us now is Jason DeCuir from Advantage Consulting. I have no segue here, Jason, so welcome.
No, thank you, Brian. It seems like every time around this time of the year, we're talking about somebody getting bit by a shark or alligator, primarily when they're playing golf, you know?
So the alligators come out of the water hazards as well. Yes. Yeah, I went with the reference of like, you always hear about like the 70-year-old woman walking her dog.
Yeah.
You know, she got the little toy dog and she's walking too close to the lake.
Yeah, I tuned in a little later. I called in a little later this morning. Where was the canoe thing?
South of Orlando, Kissimmee.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. They're
played a lot of golf around there. A lot of alligators around there.
Oh yeah, for sure. 11-foot alligator. They didn't see him in 2 foot of water.
Wow.
I know.
Yeah, they've gotten people at those resorts and other things while they're down there visiting Disney. So you got to be careful.
Yeah, also true. Exactly. So speaking of being eaten alive, let's talk insurance bills.
Good segue.
I hate myself for that, but let's roll.
Yeah, so look, just a quick update. We've talked a lot about the constitutional amendments, and just a quick update there. What I will tell you, obviously, tax is still taking somewhat of a backseat to the fights on carbon capture and insurance reform and that sort of stuff. Also, a lot of the DOTD, Department of Transportation and Development reform bills got moving and heard this week. But on the tax front, just to remind everyone, the 5 pieces to what was formerly known as CA2 are moving through the process. So that's kind of riding along in the background there. The bill that is furthest along is that did cross into the Senate is the constitutional amendment by decibels to give parishes the option to exempt inventory. The other budget pieces, the severance piece, the teacher element of this, that's all still in the House, but it is moving along. I thought I'd point out just maybe a couple of other interesting bills, Brian. I know we talk a lot about business and the bills that impact them, but I also thought today maybe we talk about some bills that just impact the everyday person that maybe people aren't aware that are out there, if that's okay with you.
Absolutely.
So there is a bill by Representative Willard, and this kind of fits into the whole property tax inventory theme, but a little different, obviously, where he is looking to increase the homestead exemption, and he would increase it, and it was heard in committee, and I think where it kind of landed with amendments and everything else is that they would put it in the hands of the parish to make the decision as to whether or not that specific parish wants to increase the homestead. I'm sure most of your viewers know that's the part of your house that you do not have to pay, or the value of the house that you do not have to pay property tax on. But now we're starting to see, again, some elements of giving local governments more power to make that decision and not necessarily controlled by the Constitution. So I thought that's an interesting bill.
It absolutely is. In the same way, if parishes control inventory tax, they kind of can determine their own destiny with how much they want to recruit business. This would fall under that, because the more local you get, the more likely it is you're running your municipality off of property tax, right? I mean,
that's correct. And look, they now have that authority to weigh in on ITAP, and there's some thoughts as to whether or not it would create competition parish to parish. But I mean, look, you already know some of the outmigration from East Baton Rouge to Ascension, which are very close. Does that mean that, people start farm shopping a little bit based on, if one parish says, hey, we're going to increase it, and another parish says we're not? I mean, it could be interesting even when it comes down to where people may live.
Yeah, absolutely. A bill like this would have a very significant effect on how local governments handle their own business. Now, the interesting part of this, though, is, if I'm not mistaken, this is a constitutional amendment. It would take all the people's vote to give individuals the vote.
That's correct. And the rule of thumb here, which goes into the longer conversation we've had and wanting to have, Louisiana possibly look a little bit more like the Texas tax structure, that if it's a property tax bill, 9 times out of 10, it's probably going to require a constitutional amendment.
Yeah.
Couple of other bills that you may have talked about with other legislators, but you may be aware that Representative McMakin and both Representative Young have bills that would exempt income tax on NIL deals, right? And those are pending. The other one kind of, in terms of kind of the food, beverage industry, restaurant industry, no, there would be no income tax on tips and overtime. So I don't know what you think about that, Brian. But,
no tax on tips and overtime. I don't know how when you have an hourly employee, how easy is it, or how hard is it? Like, how difficult would it make it to determine what was what on your paycheck? The tips part, I think, would be easier to as you siphon through it all, to figure out what goes in what column. The overtime, I think, would be a little bit harder, although I have having a problem with anything that gives you incentive to work more. Like, I'm all about incentivizing more work. It's working hard and whatnot. That said, to me, if you work hard, you should be rewarded for said work. If you put in that extra time, if you go that extra mile, you shouldn't be punished for it.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. And, this is also one, is you may be like myself, one that eats at restaurants quite a bit, but there's sort of this weird dynamic right now with restaurants, and how much they should compensate the staff versus how much the patrons should. As we know, tips are increasing, and the cost of running restaurants is more. And so, does this one make the extra earnings, the tips that those servers make go? Does it stretch that dollar a little bit further? Right? Does it help with that balance? So I think it's an interesting bill. A lot of this is going to be driven by what's the cost, and we just lowered rates for everyone, and so you still have to pay for some of these items.
But what would be the onus on the business to separate that? Because I mean, most folks would have their taxes pulled out of their paychecks and on the front end. I'm not
Yeah,
putting the onus on the restaurant worker to make sure everything's hammered out the right way.
No, but that's typically how it is now, particularly as it relates to the cash portion of the tips. You know, it's always going to fall back on did you earn it? Was it reportable? And did you have the obligation? Yeah, on the credit card tips, it's much easier for the restaurants to manage. I agree with you.
Yeah.
A couple other interesting bills out here. I know there's a lot of conversations about hemp and vaping. Representative Brass is looking to increase the excise tax, from 15 cents to 33% of invoice price on vape products. And so, when you talk about excise tax, though those are different than sales and income tax. You normally see excise tax in relation to what we call sin products. There's an excise tax on cigarettes, there's an excise tax on beer, wine, and alcohol, and this kind of continues that theme on increasing the tax on vape, try to disincentivize the usage. I don't know that it will, but nevertheless, to the extent that people do it, the state would generate more revenue.
Well, I'm always torn on these. Well, I'm not torn at all on them. I'm not a fan of these. And we're talking with Jason DeCuir from Advances Consulting about a number of the bills making their way through the legislative process right now. It's because you can't come out in 2024 and say we're going to be, we're looking to lower your income tax overall, and we're looking to tighten up the belt and everything. Come out in 2025 and say we're going to double all of our sin taxes. I mean, the vaping's one thing. Jason, the one I've been dialed in on is the mobile sports betting.
Well, I was going there next. I was saying, Brian, here's one that might hit home a little closer, and I was going to see where you were on this. So Representative Jordan has one to increase it from 15 to 17%, and then Representative Reiser wants to go from 15 to 32.5%. So There you go.
We've had the Sports Betting Alliance on a couple times now talking about this. Is basically what you're going to do is you are going to make mobile sports betting a non-factor in the state of Louisiana. You're going to make mobile sports betting a lot less convenient, a lot less affordable. You're going to take away all the different incentives that the different apps offer, like promotions and whatnot. And then you're going to, if you're going to bleed something, you can't bleed it dry, right?
No, that's right. And look, I'm a big sports fan, but I don't do any kind of betting, and I'm sure your folks probably discussed this. I'm just curious, with the mobile and as transient it is, how do you know, how do you prevent somebody from maybe setting up an account in a neighboring state and you start losing money altogether, right? So how do you? Go ahead.
Well, because they have that walled off. They have the firewalls that prevent that. Because there's still, I want to say there's 4 parishes in Louisiana where you're not allowed to have mobile sports betting.
Okay.
I tell you a great example here, and I actually did this at Washington Mardi Gras this year. You're allowed to. Mobile sports betting is legal in Maryland, but not Virginia, or is it the other way around? I forget. But your app knows where your phone is. So Once you cross state lines, once you cross parish lines, if you go someplace where the mobile sports betting isn't allowed, it shuts it down automatically.
Gotcha.
So I don't think you could set up an account like to say you're from Texas, and not that Texas has it yet, but to say you're from one place when you're really from another, your phone would have that built into it based off of your location.
Yeah. Okay. So based off, well, I know sometimes when I travel to Texas, other places, it takes a while before my phone realizes I'm back in Louisiana. I have no idea.
Yeah.
But anyway, those are a couple of unique bills. I know we're typically talking about, the corporate income and franchise and inventory and that sort of thing, but wanted to make sure that we talked about some bills that would be more applicable to kind of the everyday person. So you go.
What was your take on Dixon's NIL bill?
I get what he's trying to do. I really do. But Brian, it is what it is. It's here. I'm not sure that I'm a fan of NIL in general. We already have the professional game, the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
My sense is that college is now becoming a professional sport. In fact, what program was it in the SEC that actually declared, I think, their entire athletic department a for-profit entity? I don't know if you saw that headline.
I did not.
Yeah, I'll have to shoot that to you.
Please.
So that's where we're going. They're setting it up as a corporation, and I know there's some litigation around it, and obviously the NCAA is involved. But the college game is already looking different. There used to be, it used to be a little bit more pure, I guess you would call it, because the athletes weren't getting paid. But it's where we are now. So every state is going to have to do what it can to continue to compete, at least if you're in the SEC.
Well, and as we pivot towards revenue sharing, NIL dollars are going to look a little bit different in the next couple of years. So I don't know if now's the right time to be putting something in ink.
Yeah, no, that's right.
All right, we'll pick back up on the tax bills next week. He is Jason DeCuir with Advantage Consulting. We always appreciate the time.
Yeah, thank you, Brian. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Here comes news. Where's Don? No text from Don? There's no phone call?
All right, I was looking at the phone too. It's kind of odd. Let someone let him in just by some chance.
Could be. I hear him.
Oh, okay.
There he is.
Whoa. We're waiting on your phone
Buddy,
call.
I know you missed my call. I was able to get in.
Oh, okay.
I didn't see a phone call at all. I see a text. All right. How'd the rest of Saturday go? Good. Too much. Nobody. Maybe Rocco. Maybe. Nope. Nobody is on Rocco's level. Unbelievably great. A little break in the rain today. Will that break stick around? Here's your forecast from Emma Kate Cowan. .737 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along, getting you to Crime Stoppers in 60 seconds. That's enough time for me to tell you about the folks over at Landmark Bank, founded in 1897. Reading from their history and capitalized with $15,000 from local investors who recognize the need for the community to have a bank to call its own. The original management team established their commitment to personal service from the very day that they opened their doors for business. 1897. It is now 2025, and Landmark Bank remains a community bank, remains true to their mission, remains true to their service, whether in Zachary, Bruley, Clinton, whichever community you're in. In fact, if you visit landmarkbankla.com, under the About Us tab, you'll find all their different branches where you're going to find them. They believe in that community banking. They believe that their success is based off of your success, whether it be in personal banking or business banking. Their success is based off of your success. You come first with them. Check them out online, landmarkbankla.com. Time for Crime Stoppers. Yes, it's time for Crime Stoppers, and we welcome in Lieutenant Don Capola. How are you, sir?
Hey, good morning, Brian. How are you?
I'm doing very well. I'm doing
Good.
very, very well. Before we get into anything, look for bad guys today. We got to recap what went down on Saturday. So somewhere in between my daughter's basketball and the Our Lady of Mercy Fair, I was able to sneak over and give it a look.
Yes,
I was able to sneak over to the Legacy.
I knew you were there because play just stopped. Like, people just looked and said, "Is that Brian from 107.3?" Oh my goodness, it is.
I mean, was it because I just looked so out of place at an athletic event?
John, if you could have seen this, it just, I mean, we have some competitive games going on, and everything just stopped because Brian showed up.
So he's signing autographs,
That's the only thing we didn't do, and we had some requests next year, have Brian in a behind the table signing some autographs.
I will tell you this. After having come out, I see why you didn't let me play this year.
Why?
That was just a dominance, man.
Hey,
absolute dominance.
And listen, I can't list everybody, but the sponsors, the players, Legacy, everybody who contributed to this, thank you. And this is something that we want to continue year after year for it to grow. And it's not only raising money for Crime Stoppers to pay these tipsters. It's just also about the awareness of Crime Stoppers.
Mm-hmm.
We had a team. They came as far as New Orleans,
really,
to come and
we're getting you more New Orleans teams next year. By the way,
okay, good,
I'm already
good.
in the works on this one.
But it's just making people aware because people they think it was, hey, you just cover Baton Rouge. No, we have 8 parishes that we do.
Yeah,
and it's just raising the awareness, and again, raising money to pay these tipsters.
So while I was there, the women were doing battle, and you had I want to say there's 4 or 5 courts going on all at the same time.
Probably had about 5 to 6.
Okay.
We had men's
was earlier, yeah,
and then Sunday we had mixed.
Yeah. So what I got to see of it though, the range, the level of competition was all over the map. It was you had some women going hard, going very, very hard. And then they had other courts where, but y'all had it broken up to where you're going to play against your own level.
It was broken up in different levels.
Mhm.
And next year we're going to extend that to more of a beginner type level, because these are kind of intermediate to advanced players that we had
Sure.
this last weekend. So we're going to bring in a beginner level and maybe have some individuals to help those who were maybe unsure of what to do, unsure of the rules, just kind of instruct.
Mhm.
So, like I said, Brian, we just want to continue to have this grow over the years.
The one of my bigger takeaways was having not, like, I've never played pickleball before, right? And then it was exactly what I thought it was going to be.
Okay.
Like, I've never gone out to see pickleball before. My experience with pickleball is like, I've seen like videos on social media and whatnot.
Right.
I hear it in the background when I go to pick my daughter up from cross country. It sounds like the last 10 seconds of popcorn popping. But like watching them actually play, I am not going to stop talking trash. I'm here for it.
Good.
Let's go. Having like put eyes on the sport itself. It's gonna be a long year getting ready for this. So
it's and we thank you for that.
Yeah.
And let's just continue to make this bigger and better each year.
As we will. All right. That being said, wait, one more before we move on. How about shout out to the Legacy?
Legacy did a great job.
Great property.
Great property. Great job they did. And the general manager, Jared, over there, he actually had ran the tournament and did a great job. And, it's all about getting out, making people aware of what Crimestoppers does, raising a little money for our tipsters, and just everybody having a great time. We're open to suggestions, and we just want to continue we want people to leave saying, I can't wait to see y'all next year.
Mhm.
I believe that mindset was had this year. Congrats to all the winners. And like you said, this sport is one of the fastest growing sports around.
It's insanely popular, man.
It is.
It's crazy how popular it is.
And how good these people are. You're playing against somebody who is a former tennis player, and you can tell their skill level.
Mhm.
And it's just insane how good these people are.
It moves quick, to be sure. All right. But yeah, back to the Legacy real quick. As I was walking up, you had a couple people playing tennis. Obviously, they have nothing to do with the event. They're just there at the Legacy.
They're just there.
Some people were playing tennis. You had a ton of people swinging the sticks over on the driving range.
Yes.
It really, they've maximized that property. It's aside from the Crimestoppers pickleball tournament, it was happening. I mean, there was
a
the whole
lot
place
going
was alive.
on.
Yeah.
The weather held out. We had a little break because we had a shower or two, but for the most part, it was a great weekend.
And then from there, went back to the Mercy Fair, which, by the way, we had something happen to the Mercy Fair.
What happened?
Saturday night, as the fair was closing up, we had somebody in a Jeep, like it appears to have intentionally attacked a Tesla.
Oh,
Like they backed their Jeep directly into the car and then drove off. There's security footage of it and all that. It was very much a Crimestoppers moment.
well, and that's the moment you need to download the P3 Tips app.
Yeah, absolutely.
Take a picture of that plate, take a video, submit it to us, and let's get these tips rolling in, and somebody could be eligible for a cash reward.
Yep. And now there was security footage, of course, but that's from the building looking down to the parking lot. The owner of the Tesla was walking up to his car as the Jeep backed into it, and he took off running towards the Jeep. And great closing time, by the way. The guy, I mean, he looked like NFL combine speed. And as he's getting close to the Jeep pulls off and runs away. And the whole time I'm thinking, dadgum, if this dude had the P3 app, he'd already have the license plate ready to roll.
Ready to roll.
Because rather than trying to see it at 10:30 at night and remember it and whatever, if you just have that, if you have it captured, you could probably do a whole lot more with, a picture is worth 1,000 words.
Absolutely. And you don't risk injury as you're running after you trip.
Right.
Download the P3 Tips app. Remember, it's anonymous,
Yes.
just as calling 344-7867.
That would also be 344 stop. All right. Who are we looking for today?
So we're going to start off with our Capital Region Crimestoppers Facebook page, which does have some highlights of the pickleball tournament, the winners on the podium, and some videos of people playing. But we're going to start off the Harris County Sheriff's Office and Crimestoppers of Houston are asking for information on who killed Zaylon Carter. This was something that occurred back in 2023. There's a picture of the victim, and we bring this up because investigators believe that the one or ones responsible may have some relation to the Baton Rouge area.
Okay.
So we wanted to post that, and this, Brian, just shows how closely we work with our other Crime Stopper programs, whether it be New Orleans, whether it be Houston. Capital Region Crime Stoppers did help last year, November, the Bayou Classic. There was a shooting on Bourbon Street.
Oh yeah.
So we had received some tips that helped solve that investigation. So just know that even though a crime can be committed outside of our area, our phones are always open. The P3 Tips app, get us that information. We can get to those agencies or those Crime Stopper programs and assist that way.
Yeah, picture of Zaylon Carter's up there, and a brief description of what they're looking for as well. Now underneath the picture, the picture says HCSO case number, and then gives the case number after that. If anybody's looking at that and thinking I'm never going to remember that, you don't have to.
You don't have to, no, and that's going to be the case number, the file number for Harris County.
Yeah.
But the main thing we want is the one or ones responsible to this murder of Zaylon Carter.
Who else we got? We got 2 minutes left.
Yeah, we have Michael Hollins. Michael Hollins, 68 years old, wanted by the Baton Rouge Police Department on the charges of monetary instrument abuse, forgery, and felony theft. Investigators believe that Hollins was doing some work at a residence that he was known for to do some work.
Okay.
And upon looking at some bank accounts, the residents saw that they were $46,400 short on their funds. Yes. So somehow during this work, Hollins had access inside the residence, helped himself to a checkbook and wrote some checks.
Bro.
Yeah. So Michael Hollins, 68 years old, wanted on the charges of monetary.
At 68 years old.
68 years old.
That's ridiculous.
68 years old. Gregory Edwards, 43, is one on the charge of theft. Investigators believe that he faked a fall at a local Walmart, obtained legal services, received some money for this fall. Through the investigation, it was learned that there was nothing captured on video surveillance. There was no medical personnel contacted regarding this fall. So Gregory Edwards, 43, is wanted on theft, and it appears that he has multiple prior arrests for forgery, theft, bank fraud, insurance fraud. So this is something that obviously Gregory Edwards is known for.
All right. If you know of Gregory Edwards or anything about Gregory Edwards, and I don't know how they translated theft though. Like did he steal something, or is it just it's a fraudulent claim?
The fraudulent claim.
Gotcha.
But somebody has information or his whereabouts. Just pick up the phone, 344-STOP, 344-7867. Download the P3 Tips app. Get us that information. Remember, you are anonymous. We will never contact you because we don't know who you are.
Exactly.
We just want the information you have.
Exactly. He is Lieutenant Don Capola. We do Crime Stoppers about this time every single week. We always appreciate the time, man.
Appreciate you, sir.
Thank you. We are coming up on 6:52 at Talk 107.3. I'm sorry, 7:52 at Talk. I can't rewind the clock. Wow. I'm already tired. 7:52 at Talk 107.3 FM. Quick break. When we come back, let's talk about not a bill, but an item in front of the state legislature that could affect LSU home games. That's next. Oh, man. Oh! My watch tells me it's time to stand up, and I think my watch is right.
I appreciate you.
Always.
Oh.
I'm still not back to speed from the fair weekend.
It's the amount of energy it takes. It's just like, oh, goodness.
And this week has just been brutal. So I
No,
haven't.
it's
stopped.
almost over.
You what?
It's almost over.
Yeah.
John, you're doing a great job. Buddy. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Stand up to you.
Yeah, I'll stand up.
I realize how later, Dom. Later. Later, Dom. Popping. You did it. Still no clock. Thursday. Been asking every day this week. Ah. $7:55 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. There is an item in front of the legislature that we're going to talk about here in just a second that I think some people have their hopes up about, and I'm not here to be the you know what in the punch bowl, but I'm kind of going to be. I'll tell you what, before that, let me take just a second to remind you about the folks at Vex European, VEX, V as in Vinny, VexEuropean.com. If you drive a European vehicle, you need to know about Vex European because they specialize in European vehicles. More specifically than that, if you go to VexEuropean.com, hit the vehicles tab, that little drop-down menu, if you see your make of vehicle, you will get a master level technician, an expert technician in your make of vehicle. So they don't just specialize in European vehicles. They've got a Mercedes specialist, a BMW specialist, a Jaguar, Audi, Land Rover, Porsche. They're here for it. They know your car specifically, your make of vehicle specifically. That's what they do at Vex European. Call it a little bit of Vexpertise. Check them out online. Make your appointment today, VexEuropean.com. All right. There is a concurrent resolution running through the House right now that requests the Southeastern Conference schedule football games at LSU after 6 p.m. during September for health and safety reasons related to the heat during the day games. It is the resolution is put forth by Big John Ild. He's from Harahan. Big John noted that last season they made LSU play a game at 2:30 in the afternoon on September 21st with a game time temperature of 90 degrees.
With heat indexes well over 100 degrees, there were over 70 people that needed to be treated medically.
He noted that many fans in the east stands, which gets the more direct sunlight that time of day, weren't around to see LSU pull away for a 34-17 win overall.
The stadium on the east side was basically empty. I go with a group of 10. 2 of them made it to halftime.
And he's not wrong. Now, his resolution does single out LSU, but he hopes that other schools in Louisiana would follow suit, asking that their home games in September also not be scheduled for afternoons.
LSU is the flagship. I would hope by doing this, we would put other schools on notice that it is a health concern. And all we're asking for the games to start is after 6 o'clock in the month of September.
Now, I don't know if there's another school that it is as big a concern, because other schools don't have the, what's the terminology? The pantheon of concrete and steel. The sunshine is exacerbated by the surroundings. Like Strawberry Stadium, you'll still catch a little bit of breeze coming through those Hammond trees, right? Harvard on the Bayou, you're on the Bayou.
Valley?
Yeah, I'm talking about Death Valley. Big John Ill.
The Rock.
Yes.
That's what we called it when we were there.
Okay. So, Representative from Harahan, he's got a concurrent resolution asking the Southeastern Conference to not schedule anything before 6 p.m. in September. Now, while I don't disagree with Big John on this one, okay, I don't disagree with him, I don't know that he's going far enough. A concurrent resolution does not carry with it the weight of law. I say if we're going to go, let's go all in. Create something for the, and look, we can't dictate to the SEC what's what. We all know that, right? But if we're going to do this, let's do it in a manner that creates a favorable scenario for them to make sure we have home games in September. And oh, by the way, it ain't that much cooler in October. Oh, anyway, by the way, this bill was, I'm sorry, excuse me, my apologies. This resolution has passed committee and is on to the House floor, so we will continue to follow it. Right now, we're going to check in with ABC News, traffic, weather. Hour 3 is next on Talk 107.3. So did my father-in-law. My father-in-law lived in the dorm, in the stadium dorms. I lived in Kirby Smith. It's, Kirby Smith in the mid-90s was. I have stories, most of which I can't retell in mixed company. That's. Okay. Which 5 girls dorms? Over by like Miller and Herget and all that? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Kirby Smith was the building from Good Times, to be sure. I have said that it's gone, though. I mean, it's a total eyesore.
Oh, yeah.
But, like, it had character.
It was a character.
Yes. Oh,
You know, they got an app for that.
I like it. I got 11 o'clock pegged for me today. I will be taking a nap today.
At 11 p.m. or a.m.?
A.M.
Yeah,
A.M.
a.m.'s a good naps. Well, that's not reflected anywhere, that healthy economy.
Wait, what?
Said hard data shows we have a healthy economy. I said, what state are you talking about?
.806 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Hour 3 coming your way right now. 10 minutes from now, 9 minutes from now. Ag Commissioner Dr. Mike Strain's in the house. We got a lot of ground to cover there. Everything from prepping for hurricane season to crawfish season not being over with yet, and everything in between. Before we get to that, though, we got to get to this day in history. Before this day in history, got to ask you about your lunch plans yet. Have you made them? P.F. Chang's is here for you. You know where I'm going. I'm going to tell you about P.F. Chang's. I'm going to tell you about, and I'm hooked on it now. I was a Mongolian beef guy, but they've added this black pepper chicken to the menu, and I can't get enough. I'm just it's a different kind of pop to it. It's not like a knock you down hot, but you could definitely taste the flavor of the black pepper because it's the sauce is just all over the chicken, along with the veggies that go along with it. It's part of the lunch specials they've got going on. Lunch specials, by the way, starting at $13.99. Dinner specials starting at $16.99. Oh, I almost forgot. For ladies' night, which was last night, bottles of wine and champagne are half off. Always got promotions going on. Always got specials going on. Join Chang's Rewards if you want to maximize that, or just swing on by. They're in Town Center off of Corporate. Look for the giant golden horse. It's P.F. Chang's. Time for this day in history. Let's roll. At Reagan? Okay. I don't think I've ever seen them. Okay. And you know their name from Louisiana, right?
All right. Let's see.
Oh yeah.
Let's
I'll break it down when we come on. All right, go ahead, John. Do what? No, their name. P.F. Chang's his name for Louisiana.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought
Yeah.
you said, yeah.
Paul Fleming.
Paul Fleming.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
you,
yeah.
You told me that before.
Not a whole lot of Chinese food coming out of Franklin, but Paul Fleming got it done.
Heck yeah, he did.
Hey.
All right, John, what happened?
Oh, man. 1348, the ship of Bordeaux carrying the plague lands the beginning of the terrible pestilence, the Black Death in England today. Oof.
The ship carrying the plague.
Yeah.
You're telling me in the 1300s, they could hammer down where the plague came from. But in 2020, we still haven't figured, 2025, we still figured out if it was a bat or a laboratory gave us COVID.
Oh, we knew.
Yeah, well.
I know we know.
No, first week. We
Yeah,
knew.
I know we know.
We knew.
I know we know.
We wouldn't.
I know
admit
we
it.
know. But like,
Yeah, we know.
can we not? Can we just dispense with the hashtag
Political
or
drama?
air
I
quote
was gonna
debate?
say,
Yeah, the political drama.
May have been a little less political back then.
Yeah.
1912, film and television production and distribution studio Paramount Pictures is founded.
Cool.
Paramount still kicking out there, man. Let's see. 1919, Edward George Honey first proposes the idea of a moment of silence to commemorate the armistice of World War I. Leads to the creation of Remembrance Day.
Okay.
Good day. And speaking of world wars, 1945, VE Day. World War II ends in Europe after Germany signs an unconditional surrender. 1958.
That would be that would be today, May
Yep.
8th, which we talked about yesterday, how Donald Trump is now making this an official holiday.
Yes.
A holiday where you don't take off of work. You get back to work, focus on your work. That's what a holiday is.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. 1958, speaking of presidents, U.S. VP Richard Nixon is shoved, stoned, booed, and spat upon by protesters in Peru. So,
Okay.
yeah.
He didn't go back there, did he?
I don't think so. 1962, Oscar Schindler and his wife Emily Schindler are honored for saving 1,200 Jews during World War II
Hey.
in a ceremony on the Avenue of the Righteous in
Should make a
Jerusalem.
movie about that.
I know, right? It should have something to do with Liam Neeson and a list.
As opposed to having something to do with Liam Neeson and a particular set of skills.
Yeah.
Completely different movie.
This is really fascinating.
Oh, wait.
1993. Oh,
Have you seen The Naked Gun yet?
the trailer?
Has the movie come out?
No, it hasn't come out
All
yet.
right.
But yeah, anyway, I'll share this later. But anyway, 1993, 16-year-old Karen Thomas disguises himself as a motorman and takes a New York City subway train with 2,000 passengers on a 3-hour ride.
Okay.
Shout out to that kid. 1993.
Hang on. You skipped 1967.
What happened?
This day in 1967, Muhammad Ali was indicted for refusing induction into the U.S. Army.
Oof.
How about it?
2018, President Trump pulls the U.S. out of the multilateral Iran nuclear deal.
Yep.
That happened as well today.
Birthdays.
Harry Truman.
Okay.
Let's see who else we got here. Don Rickles.
I miss Don Rickles.
Oh, man. Legend.
Yeah.
Let's see. Music here. Oh, Alex Van Halen, of course, drummer for the rock band Van Halen. Anybody else on your end?
I got a couple over on my end. We got a few LSU birthdays today, to be sure. But before we move over to the LSU birthdays, politician Bill de Blasio was born on this day in 1961. And you had, where did she go? Not she. I'm sorry. Where did he go? Moving back over. Let's go. Here we go. Ronnie Lott, Hall of Fame 49ers safety Ronnie Lott, born on this day in 1959. And former LSU Tiger, former with the Pelicans as well. Garrett Temple was born on this day in 1986. And from right upstairs, Jacob Hester.
Okay.
Yeah. Good old number 18 himself, born on this day in 1985.
Happy birthday, everybody. As far as deaths go, I got one here. Actor Fred Ward, who you may remember from Tremors and things like that. He was alongside Kevin Bacon. He was a co-star.
Okay.
Yeah. Tremors, remember?
I saw Tremors once.
About the second.
Can't say I enjoyed it a whole lot. Also died on this day, French painter Paul Gauguin. So, what national day you got?
Oh man, Free Trade Day.
I'll take it.
Yeah,
I'll take it. Free
Go with
trade's
that.
free trade's a good thing.
Heck yeah.
Free trade is a good thing. 813 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. We are due up for a quick break. We'll dive in with Ag Commissioner Dr. Mike Strain on the back end of the break. Before we take that break, though, one more time, we'll do this all week, just to say thank you to our amazing listeners. Because of your generosity during the 2025 Dreams Come True Radiothon presented by the Baton Rouge Clinic, we raised an incredible $15,000 to help grant dreams for local kids facing life-threatening illnesses. A special shout-out to Lewis Mechanical, Action Industries, Patient Plus, Subaru of Baton Rouge, Service Chevy, Luba, Duplessis Pool Builders, and, of course, like I said, title sponsor, the Baton Rouge Clinic, for making this possible. So, from all of us at Talk 107.3, thank you for helping make so many dreams come true. Quick break. We got our Ag Commissioner in next. We had Mercy Fair over the weekend, so and we are wire to wire at the fair. We show up on Friday when it opens, and we stay till closing on Sunday early afternoon, and then to dive back into this week with the full on legislative session and all the things of life and whatnot.
I understand.
It's
No, I
a different
understand.
level of tired. I got to get clear of some stuff before I can catch up on rest.
I understand. Just keep rocking and rolling.
Yep.
So when that trooper is sleeping under that oak tree about 2:00 in the afternoon, he's tapping on him. What you doing? I said, I'm taking a nap. Why you sleeping here? I says, because it's cool under this oak tree. I can't drive any further.
I was told if you're napping in your car, it's recommended that you move to a different seat. Don't stay in the driver's seat.
Yeah, that way they can't.
That's so stupid.
I know, that is ridiculous. I know.
The car's in park. The car's in park. The seat is reclined.
Drop
I
your
got a ball
windows down
cap over
about
my
that
face.
much.
Yes.
Yeah. I know. Well, they think you might be intoxicated, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's.
And if you are intoxicated and you leave the bar, you're going to sleep in your car. You sleep in the passenger seat and take your keys and put them outside. You got to take them outside of the cabin.
Really?
They used to tell you hang them on your antenna. Just drop your key ring on the antenna, get it back in the car, but you could put them on top of the tire or something like that. Because you don't. I know. Well, this was then. Now it's now, right?
Turn the car on, get the AC going. Sleep in the back seat.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't forget about your old friend carbon monoxide, the silent killer.
Yeah. I mean, if you're outside though.
Oh no.
Really?
Yeah. It can still happen.
Okay.
Carbon monoxide is not your friend. It's a silent killer.
Is that what that is?
Chocolate.
Mixed Nuts is playing tomorrow. 817 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Time for a little segment. We don't have a name for this segment. We have our Ag Commissioner.
Morning with Mike? I don't know. Yeah.
Farm to studio.
Farm to studio. There you go.
Farm to studio. How about
I
that?
should have brought some strawberries. Even better, some crawfish.
Oh,
what about a hamper of crabs?
So,
have you seen the crabs lately?
No.
Oh my gosh, they are nice.
Yeah.
I mean, they like extra fat.
You talking about
Really,
like
really
Lake
nice.
Pontchartrain crabs?
Lake Pontchartrain, and also, from the bayous and the bays and all the surrounding,
Mhm.
swamps and everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, in and around St. Bernard Parish, if you're going
Oh,
down
yeah.
like going Parish Road or going on
Mhm.
down, to the lower parts of the parish, you can visit White Boot Warriors, right? And you can go on,
White
yeah,
Boot
yeah.
Warriors.
And so, and the crabbers, and look, you can do that online, but look, they have some fine crabs.
Okay.
And we used, when we were coming up, when you had gumbo, you had to have crabs in it, right? Had to have crabs in it.
Yes.
We got to get back to that. That's
Okay.
part of the drill. You
Was
got
this-
to have at least one crab in that. And if that's a pot of gumbo, maybe a gallon pot, but a couple of gallons, you need several crabs in there.
When did chicken and sausage pass up seafood gumbo? I was raised on seafood gumbo.
Yes,
I was raised on crabs and the tiny shrimp.
that's right. And the shrimp, and the seafood gumbo, and you had to have some local bay leaves,
Yeah.
right? Oh yeah.
I don't like over here. Is it a regional thing? Like because I was raised on the North Shore, but over here,
Well, my
it's all
grandmother
chicken and
was
sausage.
French.
Okay.
Her maiden name was Marange, and her mother was a bourgeois, and she cooked from scratch. And you had seafood gumbo. It was old French Creole
Mhm.
seafood gumbo.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I don't know. It's
You gotta have okra in it too.
the number of places that serve seafood gumbo around here versus chicken and sausage is ridiculous. It's all chicken and sausage. I don't care about chicken and sausage.
Yeah.
I want something that was caught just down the road.
Absolutely. Well, just out in the water, not on the road.
Well,
I'm sorry, I had to tag you on that one.
that's
Yeah, caught down the road.
also true.
Yeah,
No, you're
unless the crawfish are crossing the road and you're out there with the colander scooping them up, putting them in your trunk.
purchased out of a trunk just down the road. How about that?
There you go.
There we go. That's you're not certified. I know you're not certified Louisiana if you're selling out of your trunk.
Well,
but-
you could be.
But
Well, you could be if you're a legitimate, crawfish, or you're really a legitimate purveyor of fresh fruits, fresh vegetables.
Uh-huh.
You could be, but they're
Okay.
going to be in the back of a pickup truck. They're not going to be locked in the trunk.
No,
Right? They're
no,
going to be
no.
on a pickup truck. and
Every once in a while,
going in.
you catch somebody like in a '78 Oldsmobile,
Well, that's different.
just running down Highway 1.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
That's where you get the good stuff, for sure.
This conversation is going to heck in a
I
handbasket.
really don't
fast,
know
isn't
how.
it?
I don't know how we ended up on this path.
Yeah.
We have a lot to talk about with our Ed Commissioner, Dr. Mike Strain, this morning. Before we get into hurricane season, which is just around the corner,
Right around the corner. Hurricane preparedness
week.
now.
That's
Get ready.
this week. At the Rotary Club yesterday,
Yes.
our speaker was former Congressman Garrett Graves.
Yes.
Former
Good guy.
yes, very good guy.
Very intelligent. Good guy.
And
Sharp.
also a beekeeper.
Yes.
He's got his own honeybees.
Uh-huh.
Now is the time, if you're planting, now's the time to take care of those honeybees.
You got to take care of those honeybees, and really, you need to check on them. A good beekeeper will check them at least once a month. Once a month, go out there, check on them.
Mhm.
And right now, you got to make sure that they're strong and that they're healthy, because they're fixing to really go to work. And once you see everything flowering out there and for your gardens, so now is the time. And of course, you may want to give them a little bit of sugar water. I use artificial, not artificial, but a mixed feed product with feeders, and that gets them some extra energy, gets them started, gets them jump started, right? And so it just really, really, quote, turns them on. And of course, and so they can get out there and get their jobs done and start harvesting, all the nectar and all the pollen and everything. But you want strong, healthy bees, and then you'll have a strong and healthy garden.
Now, in recent years, we've been seeing a decline in the honeybee population overall. Is that still on the decline, or are we getting somewhere?
Well,
good?
it's up and down. In 2023, we had a big die off of honeybees because of the drought across the United States.
Yeah.
Into 2024, until December, we had a significant uptick. So we gained a number of colonies significantly. Now, what we're hearing is that in 2025, we're seeing another decline over the first 3 months. Normally, what we see is a 20 to 40% loss of colonies in any given year.
Mhm.
Some of the areas, and you talk about in some parts of the United States, are seeing a 60 to 70% loss. What's causing that?
Attributable to what?
Well, that's the whole key. We don't know.
Yeah.
And so one of the things in the recent studies is that they think that the Varroa mite, the mite that affects them, is coming back, and they think the mite is becoming resistant to the mite treatments. So,
Okay.
And I treated my honeybees really the first time this year for Varroa mites, and I used a pyrethrin type product, very safe, but you treat them for 2 weeks, and then you you go in and check them again and treat them for 2 more weeks, and then you pull it before they start producing honey. The Varroa mite what they do, it actually, think about a mite that's small enough to feed on a honeybee. But these things are big enough. You can see them with the naked eye. Oh, yes.
Really?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So
Wow.
yeah. So I look at them and check them. The other thing is really looking at the lack of variety of diet. And, we have monocultures and everything. And it used to be this was all, native prairies. And the bees really need a variety of diet. So if you come to my farm, it's not that I'm being lazy and not bush hogging my fields. I let my fields grow till they have flowers. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
So I let everything grow and all the beautiful flowers because it feeds my bees. And then we plant all the gardens and everything, plus all the fruit trees, again, to feed the bees. And of course, now I'm also trying to plant areas that I'm not going to actively farm with any kind of crop, with grass varieties and others that will help feed the bees. And so that's a big component. And then a discussion is always a discussion about the use of pesticides, both for crops and for spraying for mosquitoes. Think about the aerial applicators. And so that's why it's important that the aerial applicators start after dusk, because the honeybees are protected, because the way those particular chemicals work on mosquitoes is that the droplet has to touch the mosquito.
I've always been curious about that, because if you start the mosquito spraying too late, you really miss out. Like, you're not killing as many mosquitoes as you could.
Right.
So what you're saying is if you start it too early, you have negative effects.
You have negative effects on the bees. And
that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
Insects. That's why they fly at night there and they miss. But the bottom line is, if we don't spray for mosquitoes in and around, the areas from here all the way to the Mississippi and from here south, you can't live there, because we'll reduce those mosquito populations by 99%, in those suburban, rural, and urban areas. But we're still fighting, the diseases in those mosquitoes, West Nile, right?
Yeah.
Eastern encephalitis and those sorts of things. And so it's very important. And of course, heartworms in dogs, that's carried by mosquitoes.
Yep.
And so we're fighting mosquitoes, but it's important for the bees, good health, check on them. And again, we're constantly trying to figure that out. But on the bright side is that now they're developing lines of bees, queens, that have been vaccinated, yes, against some of the, one of the main causes of the colony collapse disorder. And if you get these queens, when you requeen, they will pass that immunity on to their progeny. So that's a big deal.
How does one vaccinate a queen bee?
Well, what they do is that they actually feed it to the queens.
Mm-hmm.
They feed it, and then the queens then pass that on. So you have to buy, quote, a vaccinated queen.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah, so it's real science. Well, and look, there's ways to artificially breed queens, but I got to get a bigger magnifying glass. I'm serious. But raising queens, that's a big deal. That's very scientific in and of itself. And you think about the average queen, just if you buy 25, a minimum of 25 at a time, they are $20 to $40 each.
Ooh.
Right. So queens, look, rearing queens is a big part of the big bee business. And there's a firm out of oils, and they have 20 to 30,000 hives, and they transport their bees because they got to go to California for the almonds, then up to the Midwest for sunflowers, then they come home to overwinter. But they raise queens, and honey is a sideline, and they sell honey by the tractor trailer load.
Good night.
Yeah,
okay.
They're working there. I mean, well, and quote, being busy bees, right?
Yeah.
But it's an amazing operation, and we have field days there and look at that technology. But you have one person that in the queen rearing business, there are some hand skills that have to be utilized the way that's done. And this person has done it so many years. They have that hand-eye coordination and extracting the queens at just the right time to grow those queens. And they do a very good job. And they sell, I've bought, bees from them, and they sell very good bees.
Okay.
Bees is a whole big deal. And of course, with the students, we have these projects now with the high school. And just recently I went back to Zachary High School, and they are going through their second round of receiving a beekeeping grant. And that grant is through the federal, it is through the specialty crop block grants, and with some money from the Agriculture Finance Authority, and where we have 5 high schools at a time, and it's a 2-year cycle on these bee grants, but they'll get about 8 to 10 hives. They'll get the hives, the bees, the suits, and the books, and everything. And I can tell you there at Zachary High, they are doing a tremendous job. Their bees look good. And these kids, I say kids, these young FFA students are so excited and proficient, so proud to show you their bees, right? And they're doing an excellent job. But bee biology, it's a whole different world that they're learning about. And the exciting thing is they're learning from scratch. They're doing it by hand. And it really, 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 they take the responsibility and they're having a great time at it.
Okay, so let's continue when we get 2 minutes till break. But does that carry on into adult life?
Yes.
I mean,
absolutely.
are we seeing a trend
Absolutely.
towards? I mean, I know we want the trend to go towards
when
local.
when I was coming, I knew nothing about bees.
Right.
Absolutely nothing. And when I became commissioner, I'm of course in charge of the apiary division of bees.
Okay.
And so I started raising bees and going to the meetings because I said, look, if I'm going to be in charge of this, I've got to learn about it.
Right.
And then, I bought my first bees at an auction and been at it ever since. But it really is, just like growing fruits and growing vegetables and farming, beekeeping is part of that. And the beekeepers clubs, everybody works together.
Yeah.
In Abita Springs, there's a beekeeping club. So if you don't have the extracting equipment,
Mhm.
You can take, you can go ahead and with the hives and everything and go ahead and bring everything there and they will work with you to extract your honey. So that's neat. So you don't have to
Okay.
get the decapping machine. You don't have to get the centrifuge.
Right.
The beekeepers clubs will help you. And if you're having a problem, best thing to do, ask another beekeeper. Look,
Yeah.
what's going on here? What can I do? But there's a lot to it.
I mean, when I was growing up, I mean, honey was like it was on the store in the shelf in a squeezable plastic bear.
Yeah, but that was probably honey product.
Yeah.
Not real honey.
Right. This is
'cause they
so
were mixing
different
it
today.
with-
And oh, by the way, the flavor is remarkable.
because it's real honey.
Yes.
And with my honey, I have certain bees that would, really like to go out and feed on the mustard greens. And I'd let that, and the honey would taste like mustard greens.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. And so blueberries or whatever. So when they tell you that these bees are from a blueberry field, well, guess what? You're going to be tasting the blueberries and it's healthy for you.
He is Ag Commissioner Dr. Mike Strain. We got him for the remainder of the hour. We got a lot more to talk about this morning, not the least of which hurricane preparedness. We should probably make that next and be responsible and cover what we need to cover before we go down other rabbit holes. We got news, traffic, weather. We'll continue with Dr. Strain next.
You want to glaze your pork chops when they're on the grill? Right before you take them off, you put that honey on there and you kind of glaze it real quick.
You want to talk? Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Or your sweet potatoes when they're baked.
Oh yeah.
Right. You put take that cinnamon, pour that honey down.
So good.
See?
So good.
Yeah.
I have to run upstairs. I'll be right back.
Yes, sir. That's all right. That's all right. We know how to take over. Last time I took over the studio, oh my God, we'll be bad now. You're in trouble. Here we go. So look, it tells the moon won't be on today. We got it, right? What do you think about that, Moon? I can hear him now.
Oh yeah.
I like picking on Moon. Well, it makes it fair because he'll get you back.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, he will.
Yeah, of course, and he should.
Yeah.
Yeah. I tell him all the time, Moon, I mean, you got too much hair. I'm better looking than you.
That's it. Yeah, man, that guy. Oh, Moon. Dang.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, Moon. The way he's set up, he's supposed to come in. I think once a week.
Here?
He's supposed to come here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Once a week.
Tell you what, the traffic. Yesterday morning, I had to be at the Capitol for 10. I said, but I'm going home. I left my house at 7 a.m. Now, it's 62 miles.
Uh-huh.
I got to the Capitol at 9:35. It was wrecked. Yeah, 2 hours and 35 minutes to go 62 miles. Yeah, and coming from that way, well, that's what I'm saying. So like last night, I stay on, like when I'm coming here for 8, I stay here.
Oh yeah.
I got a house like 3 minutes from here.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
just
great.
to make sure you make. Yeah.
Well, you can't make it.
Oh yeah.
You just can't. Well, I do WWL at 6:42 in the morning, 6:42 to 7,
Okay, yeah.
and that's live. And then and I have an office in my house here, a little studio.
then
Oh,
I
so you
come
just do
here.
it from there. Okay.
Oh gosh, yeah. Oh yeah. No, WWL's in New Orleans.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. You couldn't even do that with you can't even make that with a helicopter.
Louisiana strawberries were scarce in stores this year.
Yeah. You know why? There's only 100 acres in the state now.
Really?
Instead of 300, there's only 100 acres.
I
They have struggled because of labor issues, and then they had a fungal disease that came in with the strawberries when they planted them called neopestilosis, which has really hit us really hard. And so we are working with LSU Ag Center and with the legislature. We've got to get plants that are resistant or clean of that disease. And the good news is, though, if you let that land go fallow, the disease does not stay in the soil. It only lives in the strawberry plant.
Okay.
But the reason they were scarce is because they were scarce. I mean, we only have 100 acres. You go back 2 years ago, we had 300 acres. And so it's a problem.
How did we lose acreage?
Lack of labor and the disease that came in from Canada. Yeah. But labor is the number one issue.
Normally, I can go
Number one issue.
to Fresh Pickens Market on Coursey, and throughout the strawberry season, they will have Louisiana strawberries.
But we had the freeze, they had the snow and then the freeze, snow and the freeze. So it knocked the buds off twice. Right?
Yep.
And that causes about a 2-week delay, when you have those freezes. But the good news is we didn't lose the plants.
Right.
So yeah. So we're really hoping that at some point AI will be able to pick those strawberries. They're not yet there. They're in other crops. And the crops where they get it perfected does a better job than humans. Never gets tired. But then you have all these guest workers who come here and go back home. They make a good wage. Now they can lose a job. There'll be no job for them. Right? One of the things you have to consider with AI, when does it replace all of us? Then what are we going to do when there's a robot to do your job?
I don't know. I don't think we're going to get there anytime soon.
No.
It's going to be a long, long time.
No. And then there'll be intervention if it starts realistically displacing too many jobs.
Yeah.
I mean, it's in the auto industry, but look, they got to go back behind them because they'll be welding on the windshield.
Well, yes, and those are repetitive tasks.
Oh yeah,
that's yeah. With things like things where your job is not the same thing over and over and over and all day long, it gets a little bit different.
We're not when it's not the same every 10 seconds.
Right.
Yeah.
I'll be over in your building tomorrow.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
About that time to get the beef people to sign back up again for food.
Oh, they're having a meeting tomorrow? Beef Industry Council? Yep. Yeah. We tried to get the local check off at $1 a head pass, but it crashed. Industry couldn't agree. The industry can't agree on it. And that would have generated about $400,000 a year for advertising.
Yeah. Jeez.
Keep telling me, y'all need to get on the stick. If you don't advertise your commodity, right?
And they do. They I mean, they do my show. They do one of the 225 events, 225 magazine. They do one of their events. They do Saints games.
Mm-hmm.
Saints games are a big chunk of their budget for sure.
Saints are good about hustling money.
Yeah. Yes, they are.
Yes, they are.
That's how you get to be $1 billion business.
Are we live? I'll tell you. I'll tell you how they got to be $1 billion business.
Oh no. Thanks, Bobby. We got a high of 88 today under mostly sunny skies. Now the sunshine ain't sticking around though. 75% chance of rain tomorrow with a high of 75. Overnight low tomorrow night into Saturday is going to be 63. We got another 70% chance of rain on Saturday, and then a 45% chance of rain on Sunday. So last home weekend at the box, going to be stepping in between raindrops. Your highs are going to be in the 70s throughout that time, throughout the weekend, because of the cloud cover. Next week, by Tuesday, we'll be back up to the mid-80s. By Thursday, we'll be up to 90. Right now, it's sunny and 71 in downtown Baton Rouge.
I never get my grass cut.
I just texted with my guy today or this morning. He's like, I'm gonna give it a shot, man, but everywhere is so wet. I'm like, do what you can. Just
Don't rut it up.
Knock down the stuff that's knee high, because he's every other week and he's
Yeah.
gonna miss. So it's been 4 weeks. 8:38 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. What you got?
I'll rent you some sheep.
Oh.
Now you get about 20 of them. You get them on a leash, right?
All right, so
or goat on a rope.
Hang on, let's bring the on-air audience up to speed. We were talking about the lawn. We were talking about our lawns and how with the rain and everything, you can't cut it. But yeah, I need a good goat.
Yeah, no goats.
Goats.
Yeah, you gotta have
plural.
multiple. Oh, you can't just have one.
I should get one goat.
Yeah,
good and fat.
Uh-huh.
I mean, he'll eat all the grass
and everything else.
Yeah, probably.
Oh yes,
They
sleep
do.
on top of your car.
Really?
Oh sure, of course.
Yeah, they climb, huh?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, there's a up in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. There's one of those mountain coasters. It's called Goats on the Roof. Because they do. They climb. Now you can't have the climbing.
You want me
goats.
to deliver the goat to you?
Could you?
Oh, I will.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll get you a home address. I'll bring you a goat and just put it. Can I open the gate and put them in your backyard?
Absolutely.
Okay.
You absolutely can.
Yeah,
And then
but
pick them up later on.
Oh no.
And then
no, it'd be a gift. It'd be your goat. Oh yes. Oh yeah. No. That's how it works
See,
now.
God,
Yeah.
hope
Now,
kids are in
and you'll have
school.
to explain it to your wife because I say, well, look, Brian said, bring here, bring this goat.
You know what I really, really
with
want?
a big bell on it.
I want a fainting goat. Have you seen those?
Oh yeah.
I can't get
Oh,
enough
yeah.
of the videos of fainting goats.
Yeah.
Where you like sneak up on them and surprise them and they just and they lock up and fall over.
Do you know why they bred fainting goats?
Why?
Because they were out there with herds of sheep and goats, and when the wolves would come, that one would collapse, and the wolves would attack that one and leave the sheep alone. That was the purpose of the.
So
fainting
basically,
goat.
the entire lineage is a decoy.
Yes, that's absolutely right. Yeah,
I feel a little bit better about my family crest right now. That's we had a Commissioner Dr. Mike Strainen with us.
You asked.
I did. That's why I appreciate the wealth of knowledge. And it's not just the depth, but the range as well. We're supposed to talk about hurricane season. But
Yes.
I was asking you about strawberries.
Yes.
I was very disappointed. I have not seen Louisiana strawberries in stores this strawberry season, and you were telling me there's good reason for
Well,
it.
the good reason is we only have about 100 acres of production this year. Normally we have 300 to 400 acres. And what happened? Several things. One, the inability or difficulty getting labor. H2A labor is a big deal. And second, coming in from Canada in the strawberry plants that we plant like in October, November, was a fungal disease called neopestilosis, which affected the plants. Now, the ones that were hardy and healthy, we've done pretty well, but we lost a lot of production. We're working with the LSU Ag Center, and we have been, now this is going on for a couple of years, this problem, and also with the legislature to develop technologies to deal with this disease, and which we are developing those technologies, but also trying to figure out a way to get, funding for LSU to breed resistant plants or totally new Louisiana strawberry that would not have this particular fungus. The fungus lives in the plant tissue. The good news is that if you let that land go fallow for a year, the disease is gone. You don't have to use chemicals or anything. It's just gone. It can only live in the strawberry plant. But that's an issue between labor and the neopestilosis that has been causing a problem that came in the plants and is still coming in from Canada. Those are the reasons that we have less Louisiana strawberries. The ones we have, were really good, especially late in the season.
Oh, when you were here last month when they brought them by from the strawberry festival.
And just
oh,
absolutely
man.
delicious. So we're working on it, but we have to, again, get more people going back into the strawberry business. If you take, there are two farmers, you add those two farmers together, they're 50% of the total strawberry production on two farms. And so, again, there are a number of different factors, but labor is probably the biggest factor because it's labor intense.
Yeah.
You've been out there, if you've ever picked strawberries bending over, right? Yeah.
I've done this before.
Yeah.
It's not pleasant.
No, but it's hard.
That's what I'm saying. It's
right.
Yeah, you're crouched over, you're bent over.
But you need to go out and pick strawberries, and that way, when you go there and they $5.50 a pint, you said, "Hey, here you go. It's worth it, right?"
Absolutely, it is. Absolutely, when flavor alone is worth it.
What?
But flavor alone, I mean,
some wonderful, ice cream, Bluebell, right? Bluebell vanilla.
Yes.
Yes, with some fresh strawberries.
Yes.
Oh, and then wait. Now that we're being, you take some, some fresh Elmer's chocolate,
Mhm.
right? Gold brick, melt that down a little bit, or get the pre-melted, put it on top of that.
Yes.
Ha.
See, we're right back down the rabbit hole from last month.
I hope my doctor at the Baton Rouge Clinic isn't listening to me and you right now. If not, I'll be in trouble. 'Cause I got to
same.
see him tomorrow.
Okay.
If he's listening, you and I are in big trouble.
The Elmer's chocolate thing, that gold brick. I've been looking for it. I can't find the jar anymore.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh,
I
have
gotta
to talk
find where.
to him then.
I gotta find where that's at.
The gold brick jar. That's right. 'cause
You
it's
got
ready.
me on that last month, and it just brought back childhood.
Oh
instantly.
my goodness! Yes.
Instantly.
Why are we always talking about food?
Because you're the ag commissioner.
That's right.
That's
It's good stuff, right?
we do it better
And
than anybody else in the
crawfish.
world.
Look, crawfish right now. Look, don't come to me in August and say, where are the crawfish, right?
Mhm.
We're getting towards that tail end of crawfish season. And so, of course, the ones from out of the basin, out of the wild are really stepping up right now. With farm raised, if you want good crawfish, now is the time. Boy, they are really, really, really nice. But we're headed towards the end of the season. You get into June, a lot of, and some of the farmers have quit fishing already. They fished out, or what they're catching, they're using to restock more ponds, for next year.
Right. This is about the time when they start getting, because the sun's out longer and they're out and they get the shells are getting harder.
Well, when you got your fields flooded after you've planted your rice, this is when you go ahead and seed it with the crawfish, because they've got to go in and start their burrs and everything. And you have to they have to be established before you drain the fields to harvest the rice, because they go down in the burrows when you drain the fields. And then when you flood it again, for
they're already
the second crop, they're already
that makes
down.
Sense. That does make sense.
Then you drop the water and you harvest your second harvest of rice, and then you flood the fields for crawfish time.
So I will tell you this coming Sunday. That's the Mother's Day play in the Haldane House.
Absolutely, everywhere.
There'll
be a lot of crawfish.
We don't chase the reservations. The two most popular days in restaurants: Valentine's Day and Mother's Day.
And Mother's Day, they say eclipses Valentine's Day.
It does.
Yes,
it does.
Absolutely.
So while everybody else is booking brunch, you can have your hollandaise sauce and your eggs Benedict. We're going to be doing
crawdaddies.
Oh yeah.
Well, look, don't forget, sweeten that pot. Louisiana sweet potatoes.
Oh yeah.
Put them in that pot, right? Oh my goodness.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yes.
All right. Now, following crawfish season.
Yes.
Is
hurricane season. Yes. Unfortunately, hurricane season is coming. Now is the time to get your game plan on. Now is the time to get prepared. If you have a trailer that you use, like to move your livestock or move your stuff, check the tires. You got those tires. If it's been out in the weather, outside in the sun for like 4 or 5 years, you may want to go ahead and change them. Change them now. Don't be on the side of the road. Get a game plan. Know where you're going to go. Have your plans together. Make sure you've got your medical records, right? Or a copy of all your prescription and your pet's records, and make sure everything is up to go and get ready. We've been told to expect 4 or 5 major storms in the Gulf, from the Atlantic into the Gulf.
Yep.
We were very lucky last year. It didn't hit us hard. But at some point we got to pay the piper.
Well, so when you have the season, it doesn't hit you hard. That lulls people into a false sense of security. And
yes,
yeah, it's just that we hopefully have a recent enough reminder from a few years ago.
I think
that you still take it seriously. But I want to ask you about when you have livestock, how bad does the storm have to be to uproot and move them?
Well, it depends on where your location is. Most of the time, if you have time and you have the ability to move them, if you look at some of the hurricanes that hit on the western side of the state, a lot of those cattle, they moved them out of Lower Cameron. They moved them to fields to the north. If you take and look at Lower Plaquemines Parish, where it's all levied, you've got to have a place for them to go. So, we do recommend to our farmers that you have a relationship with some farms north of the interstate, that if you need to move your cattle, but if you have a few head, 10, 20, 30, you can move them. If you got 500 or 1,000 head,
right?
When that hurricane hits that Gulf and it is within that 3-day window and it's coming, it's impossible to move them. Now, what we would do, because we farmed in Lower Plaquemines Parish, we would basically put them up on the levees, right? Because you think about it, the most cattle I've ever moved in one day on my farm was 800 head in a 24-hour period. And we hired every truck, all that was available. So there's only a limited number of trucks, cowboys, and workers to move those cattle.
Yeah.
Okay. So moving them, say, well, just go down there and get them. It doesn't work that way because you don't have the transportation logistics. So, but you got to have a plan. Where are you going to put them? Where's the high ground? And then do you have feed and hay off site? Because the government doesn't provide feed and hay. That's not covered under FEMA. Government doesn't provide fuel for livestock. That's not under FEMA.
Interesting.
USDA works by reimbursement in disasters, not up front. And so when, what we have to do, and I was with British Petroleum this week, and I want to thank them and Chevron. In the past, they have provided to us fuel that we can make available to the farmers to run airboats or trucks or whatever for those needs, or water pumps, and water pumps to get fresh water to the livestock. So a whole host of logistical issues comes in. But what we say, if you can help yourself with 90% of all the different issues, we can figure out the other 10%.
Right.
But have a game plan. Know where you're going to go, what you're going to do. Now, if you have horses, look, make sure that trailer is ready to go, that you have a place to bring those horses, that you bring some of your own hay, and if possible, some of your own water.
Okay.
When those horses, if they're not used to chlorinated city water,
okay.
they're not going to drink it. Dogs and cats are the same way. Whatever water you use at home, bring a few gallon jugs, especially if you have cats, right?
Yeah.
They'll turn their nose up in a heartbeat at something. This is different, right?
Well, cats are jerks. So
they are, how you say, very unique creatures.
I guess that's one way to put it.
Now, Hootie, my hound dog, will drink anything.
Well, yeah.
She'll eat anything.
Dogs are great like that.
Oh, absolutely.
Not particular at all.
Not particular, but yeah. Dinah the cat is very particular, right? Yes, of course.
All right. That covers hurricane season. We got to take a quick break. We're going to check your money now. We're going to check traffic. When we come back, we got about 4 minutes left with our Ag Commissioner, Dr. Mike Strain. In that last segment, we're going to dive into the legislative session, see if there's anything brewing.
Everything's going on.
Okay. All right. Well,
and
maybe,
did you know?
Maybe we should save more time for it.
Did you know this is a fiscal session? Did you ever think about that?
You wouldn't know by looking at them.
That's exactly right.
All right.
Wouldn't know.
Okay. It's 8:50. We'll continue. And all right, you're right. You're right. We will continue next here on Talk 107.3 FM.
You've heard everything except fiscal. Yeah, this is a fiscal session. This is about as a non-fiscal of a fiscal session we've ever had. And they only meet 30 calendar days in a 45-day session.
On Monday, Dixon McMakin posts up on his Instagram. He says it's day 10 of the legislative session. I'm like, son of a bitch, how can it be day 10 in the beginning of week 4 at the same time?
That can't be right.
It was.
They've only met 10 days within
on
4
Monday,
weeks?
as of Monday, yeah.
As of Monday. So as of wait.
Close of 3
weeks. Wait. Yeah, that's right. So and they've met Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and they're there today, right? Thursday?
Yeah.
So now it's 10. Now they're 14 days.
Right.
That only leaves 16 days left they can meet. 16. Right? And so
nobody's brought up the budget yet. HB 1 by Representative Jack McFarland, 185 pages, sitting in committee.
Yes, but you know what the law is? The new law they passed, if they don't pass it, they can extend the session 10 days on that subject matter. You got it?
Yeah. And am I wrong? We do this backwards. We discuss everything that's going to go into the budget first as far as all the other bills are concerned, and then we do the budget.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Shouldn't we do the budget first and then figure out where the money can go?
Well, they haven't passed legislation affecting different programs. And so, but here's the deal. Here's the way it works. If you pass legislation that says this will be done, that will be paid for, unless you get it in the budget, it doesn't happen that year. So you can pass something in the law, unless it's in House Bill 1,
right?
And it's a kind of a two-step process, it doesn't happen. Also, if you pass a revenue measure, that revenue cannot be spent unless it is recognized by the Revenue Estimating Committee, and often that can take up to 3 years.
That's insane.
So, and until that third year, the money being raised by that tax or that fee goes into the general account, not into where the dedicated account. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
For 3 years.
It makes sense on paper, not in real life.
Yeah.
What you say, Bo?
All right. So
doing all right? Yeah, doing great.
But I'll have to tell you about that. Yeah, that 3 years reckon. So I had money. We had a we have the grain and cotton indemnity fund, right? That the farmers pay into in case a grain elevator goes into default. Well, one's in default. There's $6.4 million in that account that I need to draw down to pay the farmers, right? I need to draw it down, but they won't release the money because it hadn't been sitting there for 3 years. So wait, it's cash. It's in the treasury. It's not the state's money, and you won't release it. So for the first time in history of the state, the Joint Committee on the Budget, they were in a meeting. I walked in, they approved it, and they released it to me. I still had to borrow $4 million from the bank to cash flow those farmers.
See,
It was the $18 million issue.
you had to borrow
$4
when
million.
the money was sitting there.
No, I got that money too.
Oh, okay.
So it took $10.5 million just to cash flow this issue. And there's 110 farmers in Winsboro. So the whole economy of Winsboro was in jeopardy. And so the way it works, if a grain elevator goes into default, I have to seize it, take it over, run it, pay everybody, recover all the assets I can, then hand it back to the banks or whoever has it. So in that particular case, the net loss to the fund was $1 million. Total expenditures were 18 and a half.
Good night.
But they had that 6.5. Oh,
18
yeah.
and a half.
Oh,
Other
yeah.
states deal with it that same way.
Unfortunately, no. So the no. So the Eastern, there was a company in Mississippi went in default at $100 million, and those farmers were just out. Other states took the model. We created this model when I was first elected because of there was a company. I was in office 1 week. Central Grain went into default 1 week. Central Grain goes into default because a farmer got a check for $500,000 that bounced. And so we go up there and we go there. And so the board members come out. So I'm walking, I've been in office 1 week. 3 of them come out the door. So Dr. Shane, we have a question. What's that? Are we going to jail? I said, I'll know by 5 o'clock whether you are, right? But yeah. And that was just like $1 million issue, but we had no fund. And these farmers were in trouble, because what happened, the manager was playing the markets, which he not supposed to do, and he lost all the money. And the co-bank cut off the credit.
Somebody actually paid attention.
Oh, God, co-bank does. The one in Winsboro is.
Are you a lawyer?
No. Well,
what's your background?
I'm a veterinarian.
You're dealing with like high finance and all
Oh,
that.
yeah.
First weekend.
Yeah, but I went into the legislature in 99. So I served 8 years as a quote lawmaker, but I have 5 attorneys in my executive staff, full time. We deal with all these issues, but we regulate everything. But it's an educational experience, and thank goodness we're also farmers, my family. So we deal with farm finance and we deal with all these things. But when that Winsboro elevator, I went to that meeting. So the room held about 60 people. It's packed. The hallways are packed. They're standing outside. And because what happened, they'd already delivered the grain and they got no money. Oh, it was, yeah. Now you talk about a battle. Yeah. And so when we seized the elevator, they thought, well, okay, you're going to pay all these people and we keep us. So no, surrender your checkbooks and your keys. You're out. Yeah. Oh, that was an experience.
856 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. We got 4 minutes to go with Ed Commissioner Dr. Mike Strain, and we're going to try and squeeze an entire legislative session into that. Dr. Strain, the bill's going through the legislative process right now that cross over into your world, into the ag world. What do we need to highlight?
So we have one bill, Senate Bill 32 by Senator Robert Allen. We've been working on this actually several years, which is going to allow us to use an industrial byproduct that has been going to landfills, and it's called gypsum, and it's coming from where they burn coal and that sort of thing. And it's calcium sulfate, pure calcium sulfate.
Okay.
When it's properly tested by us or other accredited labs, and it's going to meet standards that are already well established, they can put that and use it on the sugarcane fields for the sulfur. We're becoming sulfur deficient in our fields. And so we need 300 pounds of sulfur per acre every 5 years. And so instead of putting this stuff into a landfill, now we're going to be using it for soil. So that's great. We've been working with DEQ, NRCS, and others. So that's a bill.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, it's a very, very good bill. House Bill 652 by Representative Tim Kerner streamlines seafood safety and testing.
Let's go.
And so, way it is now, we by contract are doing the testing under actually CRT, under the Lieutenant Governor's Office and the Seafood Safety Task Force, but they have no adjudicatory authorities. So we're moving all that to weights and measures, and we're streamlining this so that just we can keep, doing what we're doing with testing seafood labeling. So all the things that the legislature is wanting us to do, and that's being done through the Office of Weights, Measures, and Standards. Then we have several bills dealing with solar. So I've been working with Representative Brett Guyman and Representative Kimberly Coates as we look to find a uniform way to deal with the solar issues, and because each individual parish, many of them do have no zoning, no regulations.
Yeah.
And it's reached, quite, how you say, it's time that the legislature steps in. I said, okay, we can set up some uniformity here. So the Department of Natural Resources will be permitting these facilities, but they've got to get letters of clearance.
Oh, you're talking about solar farms, not just like individual.
Well, solar installations.
Yeah.
We don't call them.
Oh.
Yeah, they don't grow. Yeah, we don't use the. We don't call them a farm
That's
because
they don't
grow. They don't grow a crop. But
Oh.
but if you large scale 1,000 or 2,000 acres, these large scale facilities, does it displace wildlife? So they are that, and so that's the thing. So they have to get a letter of clearance from Wildlife and Fisheries, but then letters of clearance from the Department of Agriculture on the Guyman bill. I am charged with looking at the site, determining the value of the farmland, and whether or not there are viable alternatives for lesser quality farmland.
Okay.
And then if there is, then, I will have to work with them till we get that. Then under the Coates bill, it's mitigation, like you're mitigating wetlands. And
Okay.
so that's another bill.
But they're both basically like, are we maximizing the usage of our resources is where
And
it goes.
are we protecting the resources?
Absolutely.
That's the whole thing for food and for the economy.
He is Ag Commissioner Dr. Mike Train, joins us every month, and somehow it's not a long enough segment ever. So
I guess we go 2 hours. Well, look, let's just bump Moon, right?
We can't
I always
bump Moon.
want. Oh,
You
yeah.
want to bump Moon.
Oh, of course, absolutely, right?
Speaking of
think how
Moon's
much
next.
fun we'll have.
So good. I like that solar bill. It's basically if I heard you right. And by the way, we'll see you later, Facebook. Bye. Okay, you want to use all